second goal of the season. His first one was a header as well in the Europa League. Then in 37 minutes, Mo Diomande, the Ivory Coast midfielder, 2 goals from unexpected players today. He ghosted into the box, got a flick on from Raskin, had time to compose himself, and right-footed he placed it in the bottom left-hand corner for his 6th goal of the season. Celtic have had loads of chances, loads of good chances. Just before the break there was a couple of headers. Dujon Sterling, the Rangers defender, did amazingly to hook away Daisen Maeda's goal-bound header, and then Mike Nawrocki, the Polish defender, in for his first start of the season. He's only played 23 minutes of football this season. He had a header goal-bound that was cleared as well. It's been such a good game. It's been, to say Barry Ferguson's kicked every ball on the sidelines is a massive understatement. So energetic in that technical area. Half-time, Celtic 0, Rangers 2.
What about the Stale City derby? Are we at half-time there, Sani Rudravajala?
Yeah, the whistle's just gone goalless here. The best chance for Wednesday. Michael Smith's header superbly saved by keeper Cooper. They've been the brighter, but United have grown into this. Tyrese Campbell just inches away, 5 from the break, sliding and just missing Burrow's low cross. It's ebbed and flowed, but at the break, no goal. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Sheffield United 0.
10 minutes to kick off in our first commentary this afternoon, which comes from the Emirates. Arsenal versus Chelsea on 5 Live, 5 Sports Extra. These are the sounds of Craven Cottage. Fulham versus Tottenham in full, available there. Mike Williams.
7 changes for the Europa League quarter-finalists Tottenham from the team that turned it around against Alkmaar on Thursday. Ange Postecoglou resting the likes of Son, Maddison, Van der Ven and 2-goal hero Odegaard, all of whom dropped to the bench this afternoon. So in come Archie Gray, Yves Bissouma, Brennan Johnson, Rodrigo Bentancur, Ben Davis, Destiny Udogie and the on-loan Bayern Munich man Matthias Tell, who'll partner Dominic Solanke up front. As for Fulham, well, mixed results for them over the past few weeks. An impressive away win at Wolves was followed up by them dumping Manchester United out of the FA Cup, but they then lost at Brighton last week and were beaten last time out here at Craven Cottage in another London derby with Crystal Palace. They can put themselves back in the European picture today though with a win. Marco Silva making just the one change from that defeat at the Amex. Willian makes his first start since returning to the club in January. Issa Diop drops to the bench.
Julian Laron is still with us. Let's just get a couple of minutes with Brentford's Ben Mee, who's part of our commentary team at Craven Cottage. Hi Ben.
Good afternoon Steve, how are you doing?
Yeah, very good, thank you, very good. I mean, you are obviously one of those teams involved in the fight for European football right now. It's really difficult to maintain results across the course of a season. Fulham, who were obviously just above you, they seem to be starting to feel it now. We've seen some of the real, inverted commas, big boys start to find some form. Home form is massive and Fulham just don't have it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You said it, the home form's just sort of disappearing a little bit for them, but it'd be a good game for them today to attack a Spurs side who may be feeling it a little bit for Thursday. I know they've made a lot of changes, but it'll be interesting to see how they react from a big night in Europe. So yeah, a good chance. I think Marco Silva will have them on the front foot early on and get after this Spurs side who obviously made a lot of changes.
So I mean, at the minute you've got yourselves in 11th, 41, Fulham just a point above 42, then Bournemouth on 44, Villa 45, Brighton 47, and the shake-up for European places will happen. We don't know exactly where, but somewhere between there. I mean, you guys have got 3 wins from 5, so I'm just wondering, what do you think is key to being able to perform at this stage of the season when you don't necessarily have the riches and the amazing depth that some of the real big boys have?
I think first and foremost, keep your best 11 on the pitch. You know, keep them fit and firing. It's always a tough season, long season, so trying to keep the players fresh and ready for each game is really important. And that belief that you can go and do it as well, I think is vitally important. Yeah, it's going to be a good run-in for the teams that are in and around it, but yeah, that belief that we can go and do it, or the team can go and do it, is vitally important.
What do you think is the big difference playing against Raul Jimenez to playing against Dominic Solanke? Those are the 2 starting strikers, and you've been up against both of them.
Yeah, I think probably Solanke makes a few more runs in behind. Jimenez likes to post up a little bit, but both compete really well, work really hard for the team. Big lads, you know, strong in the air, so similar in ways, but a little bit different. Both obviously good finishers and dangerous in and around the box. So no, it'd be interesting to see them both today and how they match up.
I think, Ben, every time anybody announces the team news for Tottenham, Spurs fans only listen if you say the name Mickey van der Ven. He was out for ages, he's been back, he's been gone, today he's on the bench. Yep. Just give us a centre-back's appreciation of him and what makes him special.
Yeah, no, he's obviously a fantastic talent. He just needs to get that consistency within his game. You know, look after himself, you know, stay fit, stay reliable, become robust, and you know, he's a top talent. He's a fantastic centre half, and he gets that consistency in his game, becomes a top player, it'll be fantastic. And he's got everything to his game. He's physically, big and strong and quick, and he looks good on the ball as well. So getting that consistency of him and getting games is going to be massively important, and for Spurs to keep him fit as well. And in the team, it'll be vital for their chances in doing well in Europa and in the league in future.
Top man, Ben, always good to have you on. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Cheers.
That's Brentford's Ben Mee. Jules?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Van de Ven, fastest player in the league, all positions combined, incredible talent clearly, but he missed 11 games last season through injuries. He will miss a lot of games this season too, because he's only on 14, I think, this year, or 10 in the Premier League, and there's only 10 to go or something for Spurs. So this is not enough. To be a top centre back, you need that consistency in terms of playing games at your best level, not playing 5, being out for 5, playing 5, being out for 10.
These are the sounds of the Emirates. 5 minutes to go until kick-off in that game between Arsenal and Chelsea. Mark Scott and Andy Reid, your commentary team there. We've talked about a few of the key battles, guys. I don't think, Andy, you can talk about Chelsea without mentioning Robert Sanchez in goal, can you? I mean, they just keep chopping and changing. You have to imagine, with the amount of business Chelsea do, that is going to be the literal number one thing they look at.
You would think so. I mean, that would be the logical thing. But when it comes to Chelsea and transfers, I don't think logical has kind of been used too much. I think we mentioned earlier, what they have done is they've assembled an incredible squad, but it is pretty imbalanced in a lot of areas in terms of, we mentioned earlier, the age, but also in terms of position. So you would think that they would be in the market for a goalkeeper in the summer. I just think there's been, too many mistakes. I think he does some really good things. I think how he builds, I think is good. I think he's nice and composed on the ball, and I think that suits the way Maresca wants to play. But the main thing for a goalkeeper is that he keeps the ball out of the net and he does it consistently. And I think they've had some issues in that area. I think that's pretty obvious for everyone to see.
Teams on their way out at the Emirates. Just before we go to commentary, Jules, I just want to ask you one about Moises Caicedo. Nader Manu, I had to get a mention at some point on the show today. His BBC Sport column, he said Caicedo has become one of Chelsea's most important players. You can see how well they play when he is performing to his best. Him, not just for Chelsea, but for Reece James, is really big today alongside.
Yeah, massively. And I think the best Caicedo has also been with somebody like Romeo Lavia next to him, which has happened to rarely this season. But he's been, for me, the best player of this Chelsea team through the whole season. He's been outstanding compared to last season, day and night. I think Maresca and his football and his structure is much better for Caicedo than Pochettino was last season, for example. So I expect big things from him today, again in the massive midfield battle, like we were saying, and also very important for him to almost guide Reece James and have Reece James next to him and see how that partnership is doing.
Great stuff, Jules. Thank you very much. Julian Laurent, who's been with us on 5 Live Sport. Half-time in the Steel City derby. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Sheffield United 0 in the Old Firm. Celtic 0, Rangers 2. We will keep you up to date with that during 2 commentaries. Fulham versus Tottenham. You could go over right now to 5 Sports Extra here on 5 Live. Arsenal versus Chelsea with Andy Reid and Mark Scott.
Thank you very much indeed, Steve. Yes, from Wembley to another part of North London here at the Emirates. It is a chilly afternoon here at Arsenal's home ground as Arsenal in the red take on Chelsea in the blue corner. The big news is that there is no heavyweight in the number 10 pocket for Chelsea. Cole Palmer is out of the squad altogether. Enzo Maresca says he has a slight injury, so isn't being risked. He should be back after the international break, though. So it's Robert Sanchez in goal for Chelsea. Cucurella, Colwill, Badiashile, who's in for Tosin, and Fofana there back for Reece James, set to play in midfield alongside Moises Caicedo, with Enzo Fernandez shunted further forwards into Palmer's position, and Nkunku and Sancho either side of him, and Pedro Neto leading the Chelsea line. Arsenal, of course, also have somebody who is not a striker playing through the middle in the shape of Mikel Merino. They have Raya in goal, Lewis Skelly, who comes in for Calafiori at left back, Gabriel, Saliba and Timber their back line, Ødegaard, Partey and Rice the midfield 3. Martinelli making his first start since that injury he suffered in the League Cup semi-final second leg at Newcastle, and Trossard are supporting Mikel Merino. So alongside me for this one is Andy Reid, and Andy, I hope that your pre-match prediction is incorrect, because you feel that this is a game that might lack goals.
Yeah, I really hope I am wrong as well. I love watching a game that was plenty of goals goals, really good attacking play. I like seeing games that attackers are on top. Just looking at the two teams, potentially maybe defence is on top, but I hope not. But we'll see how it pans out. But it's a big game. It's a great game. You know, you look at these two heavyweights of the Premier League era, two really big clubs who over the next couple of years will be really wanting to continue pushing for Premier League wins. So it's going to be an interesting game, and I'm interested to see how it pans out in the early stages to see who grabs hold of it.
We saw a massive banner on the far side from us that said North London is red. That's been folded away now, and all of the red and white scarves around as the Arsenal fans sing their unofficial anthem, North London Forever. The Chelsea supporters in their pocket of the left corner of the stadium, as we look at it, retaliate with chants of their own. But it will be Arsenal in the red shirts to get us underway, kicking from right to left in this first half. Arsenal, who are unbeaten in their last 6 Premier League meetings with Chelsea, 4 wins and 2 draws and 6 victories in the last 9 league games as well. They have certainly had the upper hand, and they get us underway on what is a sunny but a chilly afternoon at the Emirates Stadium. David Raya, decked out all in a light green/yellow outfit, pings it upfield towards Leandro Trossard, who collects in the left wing area, and that rebounds off Jadon Sancho and out for a throw to Arsenal. These two have the best records in London derbies in the Premier League this season. Arsenal taking 17 points from capital clashes. Chelsea have racked up 15 of them themselves, and nothing to separate them at Stamford Bridge in November. Gabriel Martinelli scoring the opener. Pedro Neto levelling for Chelsea, and Martinelli back in the starting lineup for Arsenal for the first time since early February. It's David Raya just outside his own penalty area here, who swings the ball forwards upfield, and Trossard collects just inside the Chelsea half, goes backwards of square, and Partey has it. Lewis Skelly now closed down by Sancho, goes all the way back to David Raya. In terms of the early signs of how the sides are lining up, Andy, any real surprises?
No, I think it's as we expected, to be honest with you. You see Marino taking up a lovely position. Arsenal on the attack here.
Lewis Skelly getting towards the edge of the penalty area, takes on his man and gets to the byline and clips it against the outstretched foot of Wesley Fofana. We have the first corner kick of the game, and it goes Arsenal's way.
Yeah, Arsenal pulled Chelsea around. They pressed really high, and they made a gap in the middle of the park. It was played through to Marino, who dropped in off that back line, got the ball in turn, and it set Arsenal on the way. So Chelsea will need to be wary of that one.
We know that Arsenal have had a reputation for being lethal from set pieces, 12 from them in their first 21 Premier League games in terms of goals from set pieces, but none from their last 7 Premier League matches. So they've lost their mojo a bit when it comes to scoring from dead ball situations. This is the first corner of the game today, and Declan Rice will take it as the wind just buffets the corner flag in front of him, raises his arm in the air to signal what the move is going to be, and there's plenty of movement in there. It's in towards the near post, and Partey flung himself at it, couldn't do anything with it, and it goes behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, not the best delivery from Rice there. He's aiming for that near post space, and normally he's pretty spot on with it. They've had some great joy this season, as you mentioned, but he just dropped that one a little bit short. But just looking at the formations, as we said, both teams are 4 at the back. You know, we've gone through the midfield. We know what they look like. The one question that I had was maybe where were the wingers for Arsenal going to play? Was Martinelli going to play on the left, or was he going to play on the right-hand side? And he's playing on the right-hand side with Trossard on the left.
Ødegaard has it for Arsenal. 2.5 minutes gone at the Emirates. Martinelli with the opportunity to find Trossard inside the area. Good hit, and it's wide of the target. Well, seemed to take an age that as it came to Leandro Trossard, steadied himself just inside the box and bent it wide of the upright.
I think he should do better with that. He's unmarked at the edge of the box. His first touch maybe isn't as good as what it should be. He still gets it out of his feet and almost comes off the side of his foot, and he drags it just wide.
So goalless early on at the Emirates. What a packed day of sport we have for you on 5 Live, with the League Cup final coming up live from Wembley. John Murray, Ian Dennis and Stephen Warnock will bring you that. Then commentary of Leicester against Manchester United at 7 o'clock, and 6:06 with Robbie and Chris follows all of that as well. And there's plenty on Sports Extra for you too. Fulham against Spurs is live in full on there right now. And we'll have the Players' Championship final round from Sawgrass as well later on this evening. Rory McIlroy 4 shots off the lead there. Here is Thomas Partey deep in his own half for Arsenal, brings it up to just shy of halfway. Lewis Skelly tight to his left touchline, and Thomas Partey was just clipped there, so it's going to be a free kick for Arsenal inside their own half.
Yeah, it looks like Chelsea have gone pretty much man-to-man in midfield, where Fernandes is getting after Partey, Caicedo is trying to go really, really tight on Odegaard, and Reece James is going really tight on Declan Rice, who's trying to run him away at every opportunity to create a bit of space.
It's Andy Reid with us on 5 Live, part of our commentary team here at the Emirates, where it's 0-0 between Arsenal and Chelsea as Timber can't quite scamper clear of a challenge and it rebounds out for a throw. It is one of those days, if you haven't been outside of the house yet, that the sun is deceptive. It is not warm at all. I'm even wearing gloves at the moment, which drew a bit of a dodgy look from Andy when he saw me don them. But
gloves completely unnecessary this time of year.
I'm sure I spotted you wearing them as a player before, and that's
never
certainly not the done
you
thing.
never see me wearing gloves, never.
Can't see many of the players out there in gloves at the moment. It goes back to the man who is wearing some for Arsenal, David Raya, whose clearance is awful. Skewed that right up in the air, but then Cucurella with a really silly foul. Chelsea had a chance to win the ball high up the pitch, and Cucurella shoved his man over. Cheap free kick. Arsenal have it deep inside their own half.
They're the ones that, as a coach or a manager, they just really frustrate you. You know, Arsenal under a little bit of pressure. It was a decent enough press. Raya miskicks the ball. It goes miles up in the air, and Chelsea could have an opportunity of winning on it. You know, landing on the second ball, and just a silly foul from Cucurella. It's completely unnecessary. Gets Arsenal out of any kind of pressure they were under.
Arsenal won the last meeting between the sides here 5-0. In April 2024, their biggest ever win against Chelsea in all competitions, and that was the last time that Chelsea didn't have Cole Palmer in a Premier League match. And in case you missed the news earlier, Palmer not in the squad today, a slight injury according to Enzo Maresca, and whether he features for England in Thomas Tuchel's first couple of games in charge remains to be seen as well. Friday we'll have full commentary of his first match when they play Albania at Wembley. 0-0 with 6 gone at the Emirates as Odegaard tries to skip clear of Moises Caicedo. His pass is poor though, and Cucurella can collect for Chelsea with Christopher Nkunku still deep in Chelsea territory at the moment. They've not really had any serious possession inside the Arsenal half as of yet, as Colwell plays it square to Badiashile. It's all the way back to Sanchez. It wasn't the best of passes, so he had to dart across to the edge of his 6-yard area. Marino closed him down, but he launched it upfield. Saliba can tidy up for Arsenal though and get it back to David Raya.
Yeah, I think your observations there are spot on. Chelsea haven't been able to get any kind of foothold in this game in possession. They maybe strung 4 or 5 passes together there, got pressed by Arsenal, decided to go back to the keeper. It was a sloppy pass, and the ball then ends up just coming back to Arsenal. So they need to be better in possession. You know, the manager wants them to be a possession-based team. They want to build with a real structure, but they need to be better on the ball.
Loose pass in midfield, which Caicedo has seized upon. Reece James now. This is the first Chelsea foray into the Arsenal half as Neto collects wide on the right-hand side. Waits for some support, and Arsenal have plenty of red shirts back there to block the way. Jadon Sancho on the right flank is ganged up on by Trossard and Gabriel, who now trot back into his more familiar centre-back position as Chelsea recycle and work it from right to left. Cucurella on the left side as the sun starts to show its face once again. A couple of shadows on the Emirates pitch, and then a long lofted pass from Colwell has too much elevation on it, clears Sancho and goes out for a throw.
Arsenal have no problem getting everybody behind the ball. If you look at that passage of play there, Chelsea strung 2 or 3 passes together, end up getting played back, and even Marino was the highest player. You know, he was back in his own half. Get everybody behind the ball, really difficult for Chelsea to play through, and ends up with a sloppy pass, and Arsenal regain possession.
Only a short trip for Chelsea to North London, but their away form has been poor. Failed to win any of their last 6 league games, 4 defeats in that stretch. They've lost all of their last 3 on the road. In fact, they have the worst Premier League away record over the last 6 Premier League matches, so it's a case of travel sickness for the Blues at the moment, and it's meant that their chances of being in the top 5, which is what it almost certainly will be for the Premier League this season in terms of Champions League qualification, have taken a bit of a hit. There's been another goal in the Old Firm game at Celtic Park. Rangers were 2-0 up the last time we heard from Kenny Crawford.
And it's game on, because it's now Celtic 1, Rangers 2. Dies in Maeda, the Japanese international. So often the man that Celtic have relied on this season. 28th goal of the season. It was stood up by Jota, the Portuguese winner, at the back post. And there was Maeda to head in. It's Celtic 1, Rangers 2.
Meanwhile, here at the Emirates, big chance for Arsenal as Martinelli collected it and smashed it goalwards. Sanchez got his hands to it, made the save, but nearly spilled it into the path of a couple of red shirts.
Yeah, it comes from a really sloppy Sanchez pass. He tries to play it out to Fofana. He completely miskicks it straight to Martinelli. He squares up Fofana again, takes a touch inside, tries to whip into the far corner, but he can't quite get enough on it. And then Sanchez drops it then, and if Marino or Trossard had been more alive to that, I think they could have got on to the end of it as a pop back out.
He is right up there in a chart that he won't want to be right up there in, Robert Sanchez, when it comes to errors leading to goals in the Premier League this season. But Enzo Maresca sticking by him. He has got Jurgensen, who played in the Conference League in the week, but Sanchez recently came back into the Premier League side for the game against Leicester last Sunday. But as Steve and Julian were saying before the game, you fancy that that's an area they'll look to go out and buy a really top draw number one in over the summer.
I just think when you're one of the top team, well, any team really, you want to have that real security behind you. You want to feel safe. You want to know that you've got a really steady goalkeeper behind you, somebody who's going to be composed. He's going to be, calm. He's going to make saves at the right time. He's not going to make mistakes. And I wouldn't imagine that the Chelsea backline and the Chelsea team in general feel that way about Sanchez at the moment.
Chelsea have a throw which Cucurella is going to take in the left-back area. Good distance on it, and nudged backwards of square by Enzo Fernandez, but it's collected by Martin Ødegaard. He's not been in great form himself recently, as Lewis Skelly inside the centre circle plays it back to Gabriel, and now it's William Saliba into the feet of Ødegaard. Good half turn from him to offload now to Timber, work wide to Martinelli, all on the right side this for Arsenal. Cucurella just closes down the space though, so the Gunners are forced to retreat back to Thomas Partey. Ødegaard quickly closed down by Caicedo. Partey with the lofted ball over the top. Timber gives chase and might have just got the wrong side of Cucurella. They wanted to foul there, Chelsea, they don't get it, the ball's in and Sanchez has to palm it away, still not fully clear, and Declan Rice over the bar. Almighty goal scramble in the penalty area, a real fiasco in the Chelsea box. Arsenal with a few bites of the cherry, couldn't take any of them, let off for Chelsea.
I'm not sure how that hasn't gone in. Really not. Cucurella starts it off. He feels that he was fouled, and it looked like there might have been a little nudge in the back from Timber. The referee didn't give it. Ball comes across, and it's like pinball in there. It's bouncing off bodies. It's coming off shoulders and legs and heads and all sorts in the box, and it pops out to Declan Rice, who shapes up to volley it, and he just gets underneath the ball, and the ball goes high above the bar.
Well, Chris Kavanagh, the referee, has halted play briefly, which meant that VAR were looking at something. I can only imagine they thought there might have been a handball in there. There wasn't, so play has now restarted.
Yeah, I think it'd have been difficult to give a handball for anything there. Everybody was in such close vicinity, and the ball was ricocheting off everybody. It was a really interesting passage of play there.
Well, Arsenal with the big chances so far, and both have come from sloppy Chelsea play at the back. Leandro Trossard in centre field for Arsenal. Caicedo goes to close him, does a good job because Arsenal go back into their own half. 0-0 with 12 minutes gone at the Emirates. Full commentary of the League Cup final between Newcastle and Liverpool to come as Declan Rice has a pop from distance, and that seemed to go in slow motion as it bounced a few times and went past Sanchez's post. Arsenal convinced it should be a corner, but it's given as a goal kick.
Yeah, he hasn't. He's connected with it okay, and it looked like the keeper's dived a little bit late. I don't know whether there was a few bodies. I don't know whether he wasn't expecting it or he didn't see it until late. But keeper dived a little bit late, and I think with him diving maybe made it feel like it was closer than it actually was. It was, it was close enough, but I thought the keeper made the most of that there.
As I was saying, packed day of sport for you on 5 Live, and it's been the case all weekend. Brilliant end to the Six Nations yesterday, and Chris Jones and Sarah Orchard have got all the reaction on the Rugby Union Weekly podcast on BBC Sounds, and the Checkered Flag podcast available as well after a memorable Australian Grand Prix this morning. Victory for Lando Norris in Melbourne, beating Max Verstappen to take the victory. You can get all the action and analysis on that Checkered Flag pod as Neto and Enzo Fernandez rather goes over just in front of us, in front of Enzo Maresca. He took a tumble, didn't need much contact, and Chris Kavanagh was given the free kick, which Arsenal feel is very cheap.
Yeah, it was a brilliant piece of play by Sancho out on this right-hand side there. He twisted, he turned, he got away from 3 or 4 Arsenal players. He set it back to Enzo, who seen the challenge coming, and he basically just stopped. The player ran into him, and it's a free kick to Chelsea in a dangerous enough area when you've got somebody with the delivering ability of Reece James.
Yeah, James is in situ. It's on the right-hand side as Chelsea look at it, about 5-10 yards in from the touchline, roughly 15 yards outside the Arsenal penalty area. So a good opportunity for James to swing the outswinger towards the cluster of blue shirts that are congregating around the D of the penalty area. He's just getting some instructions to his teammates, now raises his arm in the air as they all get set to make a dart towards where the ball is going, and it's bent in too high for any of them, and that's a real waste as it goes all the way to the far side. Kept in by Jadon Sancho though for Chelsea, so the move not completely over for them. His pass is back to Badiashile, and now Sancho tries to play the 1-2 with him. Doesn't quite come off though, and Arsenal have got possession once again, but that was poor from Reece James.
Yeah, he just got way too much on it. They're the type of balls, it's a lovely angle to whip a ball in, and what you're really trying to do is put it in between the 6-yard box and the penalty spot. Let your players really go and attack it. Can somebody get a head on it, a foot on it? But he just put way too much on it, and it almost nearly went out for a throw-in out the far side.
Enzo Fernandez has gone over after a collision with Declan Rice, and he's holding his face here, and the Arsenal fans around us not happy that that's led to Chris Kavanagh stopping play so that Fernandez can be seen to. Just seeing a replay of it right now on our screens, and the arm was up for Declan Rice, but no real malice there.
No, I don't think there's anything in that. I think when you go up and challenge for the ball, you need to use your arms to gain a little bit of leverage, and I think it's probably a free kick. I'm not sure. I don't think the referee's given a free kick, but I think it probably was. But there's nothing more than that. You know, when you go up, you have to get your body shape right. You have to push off one leg, and you have to get your arms up to get yourself a bit of leverage. See if you can get above your man, and he's done that, and maybe just kind of caught the bottom of him a little bit. But you know, not much in it for me.
Well, it's also a 1:30 kickoff at Craven Cottage. What's the latest, Mike Williams?
Quarter of an hour gone here, Mark. Fulham 0, Tottenham 0. Low-key start to this one. Fulham, though, have settled earliest into this match. Early shot from Pereira, fizzing one across the face of goal. Bit too much on it, though. Early sighter, though, for Fulham. Not very eventful, as we say. The most interesting thing so far, shots of Hugh Grant looking on here from the Riverside stand across from me. Looking rather glum, though, so far. Can we cheer him up? Fulham 0, Spurs 0.
Thanks very much, Mike. What's the latest from Hillsborough? Sani Rudravajula.
Well, Sheffield Wednesday 0, Sheffield United 0. This second half, Mark, has been, well, industrial challenges. Industrious. It has been industrial challenges here, there and everywhere. Not many chances so far. We've got quite a while yet to go. Approaching the hour mark, Sheffield Wednesday 0, Sheffield United 0.
Thanks very much. And Rangers currently leading Celtic by 2 goals to 1 at Celtic Park. Here at the Emirates, we're back underway, still waiting for the opening goal with 17 minutes on the clock. Arsenal have certainly had the better chances and been the better team as Partey brings it over halfway for them. Chelsea sitting deep and inviting Arsenal onto them as Partey rolls it forwards for Timber, who collects on the right flank. Has Nkunku for company. Comes inside of him, thought about the cross, now does whip it in, and Sanchez flaps at it, doesn't get it clear, and Trossard's hit his paw. But it was awful goalkeeping from Sanchez to come and just pod it into the path of Leandro Trossard, but he couldn't make the most of it, hit it into the ground and wide.
Yeah, it was good play from Timber out on that right wing. He got half a yard with the good ball in. It's moving away from Sanchez. What I don't think he does, I don't think he decides whether he wants to punch or whether he wants to catch it, and in the end he does neither. And it falls to Trossard, and it's another good chance for him. But he just can't get enough on it. He can't get a clean connection on it.
Not exactly doing much to justify the backing that Enzo Maresca has given Sanchez. Gave the ball away for a big chance from Martinelli and then flapped at that cross which presented the opportunity to Leandro Trossard as well. Odegaard dropping deep for Arsenal. Low flat pass to find Trossard just shy of halfway. He has Fofana for company. He's come a long way forwards from right back to close down the space because, as you say, they are trying to go man-to-man, aren't they, Andy?
Yeah, there's a real man-to-man thing going on, especially in the middle of the park. Now, the problem that you've got with that is if one person loses their man, then you're in a little bit of trouble, and Arsenal are moving Chelsea players around really, really well, and they're struggling to kind of contain them, and there's big gaps in and around where the referee generally is in that 10 spaces. There's big spaces there for the Arsenal players, and Chelsea are going to have to be careful here.
Martinelli's got the wrong side of Badiashile. He's into the area. Martinelli's low ball in. Can't find anyone in red, but he absolutely did. Benoit Badiashile for pace there. Gabriel Martinelli surged beyond him, but couldn't find a teammate with the cutback. Seemed to have done the hard work, didn't he, by getting away from the Chelsea man.
Yeah, he done brilliant on the outside, went all the way around, as you want your wingers to do. At times get on the outside, he's done that brilliantly. What I will say is that when you get your head up, when you're in that situation, all you can see is bodies. There's bodies everywhere, and it was difficult for him to be able to pick somebody out, and the Chelsea defenders got that one away. But it's Arsenal really, really on top here. Chelsea struggling to get a foothold in the game.
Only scored 2 goals from corners in their last 11 league games since Saka's injury, 8 in their first 17 when he was in the side. So without him being able to ping it into the area, they've been looking to Declan Rice for those deliveries. This time it's bent in, and it's in. And Arsenal have the advantage, and it's Mikel Merino who has finally managed to find the net once again after that barren run. It is a set-piece goal for Arsenal. Merino with the run, got away from the Chelsea defence and got the right angle on the header to send it beyond Sanchez and in. A deserved lead for Arsenal. Arsenal 1, Chelsea 0.
Yeah, you can't say it hasn't been coming. Arsenal have been the dominant team in this game. They've created 2 or 3 chances so far, and it's no real surprise maybe that they score from a corner with how they've been this season. It's a really good delivery into the near post, but more than that, it's a really good run and an excellent header from Merino, because it looked like it was low. He had to stoop down to get a good contact on it. He done that, and he just managed to loop it up over the top, over Sanchez, who was stretching, but he couldn't quite get on the end of it. Brilliant, brilliant header from Merino. And you have to say Arsenal deserve a goal.
100%. It's a goal that has been coming, but perhaps from an unlikely source, which is a strange thing to say given that he's playing as the central forward for Arsenal. In the last 3 Premier League games that he started in that position, only 5 shots and 1 on target for Merino, but he's done the job there, and Arsenal have the lead, and Chelsea look a little bit shot right now.
Yeah, I mean, technically, in terms of a corner and the setup and how it's worked, it was brilliant, because if you look at what's going on away from where Merino is, there's loads of blocking going on in that near post area, and Chelsea aren't expecting Merino, who comes around the front and kind of from the blind side to get to that ball first, and that's planned, you know. The positions that the Arsenal players are in, they're blocking them big Chelsea headers of the ball. You drop a little short ball in, but there's still a lot to do, and Merino's header was brilliant. Really, really good header.
Well, before today's game, Arsenal had failed to score from their last 52 Premier League corners since Solanke's own goal against Tottenham in mid-January. Done the business from one there, and have the bit between their teeth now, midway through the first half, leading by Merino's header to 0. Arsenal come forwards again as Martinelli sweeps it to the left, picked up by Leandro Trossard. Chelsea just need to try and stay steady at the moment, because Arsenal are in the mood to really ram home their superiority. Here is Jurrien Timber, who's collected it on the right flank. He's got Nkunku closing him down. Has worked it backwards of square, though. And this is Ødegaard. Arsenal with a spring in their step after that opener from Merino. Caicedo tries to shove Ødegaard off it. Ødegaard's got away from him. Now it's Martinelli. They're popping the ball around nicely, Arsenal. It's Saliba scampering forwards from the back. He goes over. They feel that there was a foul by Caicedo. Chris Kavanagh waves play on. Sancho tries to chase the raking ball over the top. Lewis Skelly's underneath it. Now Trossard dabs it forwards for Declan Rice on the left-hand side. Rice, good challenge out by Fofana. Well, it looked like it from here, but now it's all just bubbling over a bit. Rice gets up and points to the back of his leg, saying that he was caught there by Fofana, but it is just a free kick.
Well, Chelsea can't get into this game. They can't get any possession, and they're starting to get frustrated. You see Caicedo, he's trying to leave a little bit on Ødegaard. He's had a couple, 2 or 3 bites of him, so he needs to be careful. And then Fofana there on Rice, and it's really difficult for Chelsea in there at the moment, because, you know, we mentioned them kind of go man-to-man in there, and they're doing that as best they can. But what you find is that Ødegaard just drops out of the block. And then in that particular instance there, Martinelli comes into the 10 position, and there's nobody to mark him, so a centre-back has to step out to mark him. So they're pulling Chelsea all over the place.
Well, VAR were just having a quick look at that to see if Fofana had stamped on Declan Rice, but Chris Kavanagh doesn't seem to be delaying the play, so I guess it's been very quickly checked and cleared and there's nothing in it, but it was ill-advised from Fofana to just leave a little naughty bit in there after the initial challenge.
Yeah, I understand that Chelsea are, wanting to get back into this game and they're wanting to be a bit aggressive, but you do have to be careful and sensible with it as well. The last thing they need is to get someone sent off.
Free kick for Arsenal then, who have a 1-0 lead, and Ødegaard's swatted it short to Trossard on the left flank. Trossard's low ball in is cleared away and collected by Trossard again. It's been all Arsenal in the opening 24 minutes. Chelsea at risk of being blown away. Has there been a spark at Hillsborough though, Sani?
Yes, there has. It's Sheffield Wednesday 0, Sheffield United 1. Good work down the right-hand side. Ball comes in, and Rhian Brewster taps in to an empty net. Just over an hour gone. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Sheffield United 1.
Also a 12:30 start at Celtic Park. Is it still game on, Kenny Crawford?
It sure is. It's Celtic 1, Rangers 2. 65 minutes on the clock. Rangers had to do well to be resilient following that Celtic goal on 49 minutes. Matati has hit the side netting since, and Luke McCowan narrowly wide from 12 yards a moment ago. Celtic 1, Rangers 2.
Rare slip here from Saliba, which allowed the opportunity for Enzo Fernandez to just nick the ball off him, got into the penalty area, went for the early effort, which is wide of the target, but you don't see that too often. William Saliba being caught out.
Yeah, he just looked a little bit hesitant. The ball dropped in between, and I don't think he thought that Enzo Fernandez was going to jump and press him, but he did, and he ended up winning it. But what you found is Enzo he snatched at a shot. It was bouncing up, it was awkward. He seen the keeper maybe off his line a little bit, but I think it was the wrong decisions that he's made there.
David Raya for a dominant Arsenal sends it long as the wind just starts to get up here at the Emirates. A big day in London with this game here at Craven Cottage. It's Fulham against Spurs, and of course the League Cup final at 4:30, Newcastle against Liverpool. Live in full with us on 5 Live, John Murray, Ian Dennis and Stephen Warnock will talk you through the action there. Mike Minay and Clinton Morrison will bring you Leicester against Manchester United in the Premier League at 7 o'clock, and after all of that, 6:06 with Robbie and Chris as well. So 5 Live has your Sunday sorted in terms of sport. Chelsea, anything but sorted at the moment. They've looked a bit all at sea. Arsenal have been the dominant force and could and should have a larger lead than just the 1-0 that they currently possess with 26 minutes gone. Pedro Neto will chase the ball down the left channel, and he's got the pace to get there and prevent it going beyond the byline, but the best he could do was knock it out of play for a throw.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to look at that a little bit more because, we mentioned before, if you get Neto coming off as a 9 and trying to link the play, if he's got Gabriel and Saliba coming right in behind him, it's going to be so difficult for him. Where he wants to be going is running in behind, making them runs, and we've just seen that there. It was a decent ball in behind, a good run, maybe just a little bit over here.
And now there's a coming together between Trossard and Fofana. They both go over. They were both going for the ball. Fofana is on the deck, and Chris Kavanagh's given a free kick, and I don't think that there's going to be any further punishment. He was making a symbol as if to say it was just a coming together.
Yeah, I think both the players have gone for the ball. I think they've genuinely tried to go for the ball, and Trossard has just got there just before Fofana. We have seen bookings for them before. I mean, personally, I don't think it's a booking. But that's just my opinion on it. I think there's natural collisions in the game. He's just got there a tiny bit late.
Andy Reid with us here at the Emirates, where in the sunshine Arsenal are smiling, leading by 1-0.
There's a real good edge to this game, isn't there? There's a nice little undercurrent of competitiveness in there. There's been some tackles gone in. It's kind of just threatened to bubble maybe a little bit, but it's been good.
And Neto with a good run down the right-hand side for Chelsea. Lewis Skelly across to deal with him. Neto has got the ball in. Too much loop on it, though. Doesn't find anyone in a blue shirt. Cucurella keeps it in wide on the left-hand side. Back to Caicedo. Chelsea desperately looking for some kind of creative spark. Of course, shorn of Cole Palmer today. He is absent due to a minor injury, and they really have lacked much oomph through the middle of that midfield region so far. They've had some joy out wide, but again, a ball straight through the middle just bounces harmlessly through to David Raya.
Yeah, they're ending up having to go too long. They're not able to build through the middle of the pitch. Caicedo's not getting on the ball, and neither is Reece James.
Party with a little drop of the shoulder that absolutely sold Enzo Fernandez, and that has allowed Trossard to collect on the left flank. He's stood up by Fofana. A couple of jinks from Trossard, backwards of square now to Lewis Skelly, who's almost on halfway for Arsenal, who hold a 1-0 lead. Gabriel with the square pass inside his own half to Saliba.
That was a really good example there when Partey got the ball. If one player, if it breaks down and Partey can burst past Fernandes and you go man to man in the middle, there's oceans of space to just run into there. And he was, he could have gone even driven a little bit forward before he gave the ball to Trossard. So that's where it becomes really, really difficult to do the job there. The Chelsea manager is asking these players to do today.
You mentioned there being a bit of edge to the game. It's a game that both sides desperately need to get something from, really, even if their ambitions won't necessarily be altered dramatically by the outcome today. Just recent form when you look at Arsenal and the fact that they've not won any of their last 3 in the league, 2 draws, 1 defeat, is another heavy challenge. And Trossard is taken out by Colwell, and that has taken the yellow card out of Chris Kavanagh's pocket, and it's been brandished to the Chelsea centre half.
There can't be too many complaints about that. Trossard really clever. He sees Colwell coming. He lunges from quite a distance really to try. He does try and get the ball, but he's late. Trossard just nicks the ball kind of between his legs, and then there's a follow through from Colwell. Definite booking.
So it is going to be an Arsenal free kick on the left hand side. Mikel Arteta again outside of his technical area. We get used to seeing that very often, decked out all in black, hands in pockets, and speaking to the rest of his coaching staff. Nicolas Jover, the set piece coach, being consulted as Ødegaard stands hands on hip, ready to bend an outswinger, or will it be the in-swinger from Leandro Trossard? They're the 2 players who are over it. It's wide on the left hand side for Arsenal. Half an hour on the clock with the Gunners a goal up. Again, plenty of movement from the red shirts in there. Ødegaard into an inviting area. Caicedo anticipated it well and hacks it away. Will it go out for a corner? No, Trossard will let it run instead for a throw. But that was a good ball and well dealt with by Caicedo.
Yeah, probably just not enough pace on it. I would think. I think it was into the right area, but just wasn't enough pace on it. There's a lot to like about this Arsenal performance so far today. I think they've been good. I think in possession they've been really good. How they've moved the ball out of possession, I think they've pressed really, really well. And Chelsea have had nowhere to go and have had no answers.
Well, Mikel Arteta desperate for the league campaign not to run out of gas, despite the fact the title race is as good as done. It's also a 1:30 start at Craven Cottage. Fulham and Spurs. Mike Williams.
Still waiting for a goal here, Mark. Fulham 0, Tottenham 0. Spurs look a bit flat in all honesty, which is not perhaps surprising considering their exertions on Thursday night in the Europa League. It's Fulham who are failing to take advantage. They have had a decent chance since you were last with me. Bassi lofting a ball high in the air, trying to land one on the head of Jimenez. The Mexican though just couldn't get enough elevation to get his header onto it, and Spurs cleared the danger. Still waiting for the breakthrough. Fulham 0, Tottenham 0.
Cheers, Mike. Chelsea also played on Thursday, of course, in the Conference League, and they definitely look a bit flat here at the Emirates, trailing 1-0 with 32 minutes gone. Lewis Skelly darts infield from the left and finds Thomas Partey. He goes backwards to Gabriel, who's out on the left wing at the moment for Arsenal. Nice footwork from Lewis Skelly to skip clear of one challenge and then goes back to Thomas Partey. And Partey can bring it forward to about 10 yards outside the Chelsea area. Declan Rice stabs it back to Lewis Skelly. Not too much pressure on Arsenal when they're in possession. Enzo Fernandez tries to change that by stamping in on Lewis Skelly. But Arsenal have maintained possession and worked it to the right-hand side, where Martinelli has spotted the run of Ødegaard, who collects in his stride. He finds Yuri. To about 10 yards outside the Chelsea area. Declan Rice stabs it back to Lewis Skelly. Not too much pressure on Arsenal when they're in possession. Enzo Fernandez tries to change that by stamping in on Lewis Skelly. But Arsenal have maintained possession and worked it to the right-hand side, where Martinelli has spotted the run of Ødegaard, who collects in his stride. He finds Yuri Timber just inside the Chelsea box, and the blue shirts swarm around them. Timber gets the low ball in, it comes off Cucurella and goes out for a throw to Arsenal, but they're just a bit too quick and slick for Chelsea right now.
Yeah, they love that area of the pitch. They walk it really well, don't they? It's like a triangle in that top right-hand area. Ødegaard drifts out. You know, he's linking with Timber, he's linking with Martinelli, and it becomes really difficult because of the ability and because of the movement to defend against. I was just looking at Lewis Skelly there in the previous part when he got the ball, come inside and he's twisting and turning. It's hard to believe that he's only 18 years of age. He looks so accomplished on the ball, you know, he really does. He looks so composed, he looks strong, he looks quick. He looks like a 25, 26-year-old player, and he's only 18. It's incredible.
Well, we were talking before the game, weren't we, about his versatility and the fact that he could be playing in midfield. He did start as a midfielder in the Arsenal academy, and Mikel Arteta says that might be a position he plays in the future. It says that he's got all the attributes to play as a 6 or an 8 these days. Midfielders described by their numbers, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you're finding in this game, because Arsenal have started to dominate more and more as the game has gone on in terms of possession, they've really kept the ball well. He's been able to drift in there because they've been keeping the ball, and then it ends up being a back three.
Well, last time we were at Celtic Park, it was 2-1. We'll go there again in a minute because Arsenal are on the move, and Martinelli flashes an effort over the top of angle of crossbar and post. So let's get the latest from Celtic Park. Kenny Crawford.
And Celtic are level. It's Celtic 2, Rangers 2, and the goal scorer is Rio Hitati. It was rolled into the box for him by Luke McCowan. Really nice pass, and he's just taken it slightly tight angle, right-footed, and rolled it into the bottom left-hand corner beyond Jack Butland. Celtic 2, Rangers 2.
Oh, quite a lively affair at Celtic Park then. Rangers coming into that off the back of that fine win over Fenerbahce in the Europa League on penalties. These two sides here both enjoyed their European exploits in the week. Arsenal battering PSV Eindhoven 9-3 on aggregate. Chelsea seeing off Copenhagen by 3-1 on aggregate after a 1-0 win at Stamford Bridge. But they have been pretty flat so far today. Caicedo has worked it to Cucurella, scampering forwards on the left-hand side. Good carry this from Cucurella. He's getting towards the edge of the area. Now finds Nkunku. Nkunku looking for options. Reece James, 25 yards out from goal. Central area. Rolls it to Jadon Sancho. It's into the box, but he's held up and blocked off by Lewis Skelly, who's done very well indeed to just send him back to Reece James. And now it's recycled by Chelsea in centre field by Levi Colwill. Badiashile out to Cucurella, but again Arsenal so quick at getting the bodies back. There's no easy pass on for Chelsea, no space for them to really exploit, so they resorted to just popping it around on the halfway line.
Yeah, they did. They went recovering really, really well. The only time that Chelsea have looked kind of
time since the end of 20.
See them pressing really, really high and really going after teams, latching on. But at times they're happy enough to kind of stay a little bit deeper as well.
Lovely ball over the top from Reece James to find Jadon Sancho. Arsenal thought he was offside. Enzo Fernandez collects his pass and now lays it off on the edge of the area for Neto to have a pop. Deflection could work out for Nkunku and comes from Cucurella. Oh, and it's gone through David Raya, and he's mightily relieved that it spins just wide of the post. That almost squirmed beyond him and in for a Chelsea leveller.
Wow. Oh, everybody in the stadium thought that was just going to trickle in. The ball is looped over to Cucurella, who's volleyed it. He's caught it well, but straight at the keeper. Keeper's gone to collect that, and it's just bounced out of his arms and just on the outside of that post. Everybody in the stadium thought it was going in, me included.
Well, David Raya mouthed wow in the aftermath of that ball spinning just wide of the upright, and that sums it up perfectly as Raya then comes and makes a much easier gather from the corner and then sets away Martinelli on the counter-attack. Reece James gets back and nicks it off him, and it's all the way back with Robert Sanchez in the Chelsea goal, and he was nearly dispossessed by Martinelli, who came to close him down. Blimey, that wasn't far away from another horrible moment for the Chelsea goalkeeper. As it is, and Nkunku picks it up for Chelsea. The tempo has just lifted in the last couple of minutes, with Arsenal leading by Marino's goal to 0. Christopher Nkunku, midway inside the Arsenal half, rolls into Jadon Sancho. Short pass back to Reece James now, playing in central midfield alongside Caicedo, with no Cole Palmer today. Enzo Fernandez trying to fill his role in that number 10 position, but Chelsea have lacked a real creative edge so far this afternoon. Neto peeling wide to the right, cuts inside onto his left foot. Thought about having a pop at goal. He's still going across the pitch and has worked his way out almost to the left wing. He finds Cucurella now. He floats in the cross, not enough height on it. Declan Rice is back there to help out the defence, but it's collected again by Neto on that left-hand side for Chelsea. Again, though, it's just a bit pedestrian. Chelsea slow the tempo down, and then Arsenal have a body back there, and Chelsea invariably have to play a backwards pass.
Yeah, they're putting balls into the box, and you know you've got Sancho and Kunku and Enzo against Gabriel Saliba, and Declan Rice has got back in there, and you know I can't see, unless it's an incredible ball right onto somebody's head, how they're going to get any joy from that. They have to walk it, they have to walk the spaces, there has to be better movement. I'm looking at them now and they're a little bit static, there's no real movement other than Cucurella running forward. They have to come into pockets, they have to start causing problems for Arsenal in terms of the positional play.
7 minutes left in the first half with Arsenal 1-0 up here in North London and not far away. That massive match at Wembley gets ever closer. 4:30 kickoff between Newcastle and Liverpool in the League Cup final. Live commentary here on 5 Live, and then more Premier League commentary action for you at 7 with Leicester up against Manchester United. Badiashile for Chelsea, midway inside the Arsenal half. Back out to Cucurella on the left-hand side, and he plays it short to Jadon Sancho, who swapped to this left. Pedro Neto's come across to the right, and the ball has gone behind for a goal kick as Cucurella can't make the cross work as he slid in, and the Arsenal fans in front of us celebrating. Enzo Maresca complains to the fourth official, but I think he'll mainly have complaints about his team's performance so far.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, listen, that last 2 or 3 minutes was a little bit better from Chelsea in terms of possession. They kept it well. I'm kind of in my own head saying to myself, right, was that because Arsenal just dropped off and didn't really go after them for that kind of passage of play? So it was a little bit better from them, but they can't carve out an opening. I think the chance that we had before when Cucurella had his shot and Reyes spilled it, it started off from Reece James getting the ball and turning in the middle of the pitch. He had a bit of space for probably the first time in the game. The Arsenal line was pretty high and Sancho ran in behind. So I think between Sancho and Neto and Nkunku, they need to try and threaten that Arsenal back line and see if they can go in behind a little bit more.
Sandy Reid with us at the Emirates, where Arsenal lead 1-0 with 4 minutes of the first half left. Neto up against Gabriel here, and what a recovery that was from Gabriel. Neto had the jump on him initially, but Gabriel's pace ensured he could get back and slide in and send it behind for a corner.
Yeah, incredible pace. I mean, Neto was really, really quick, and he's tried to take Gabriel on the outside. Looked like he was just getting away from him. Gabriel turned the overdrive on and caught up with him, and it was good defending.
So corner for Chelsea, who have been a bit better in the last few minutes of this first half, trying to find an equaliser as Neto pops in the corner into a good area and well met by Gabriel. The loose ball picked up by Enzo Fernandez, and he sees off Leandro Trossard to work it back to Caicedo. Now out to the left, and Reece James, early pass from him to Cucurella on that left flank, infield to Nkunku. Cucurella, again Chelsea closed down by Arsenal, so have to retreat, and it's Caicedo in the centre circle for the Blues with 3 minutes to go until half-time. And look at the way Arsenal have squeezed it, and Caicedo nearly had to go all the way back to his goalkeeper. As it is, he has popped it over halfway to Nkunku, into the feet of Reece James. And again, it's another sideways or backwards pass from Chelsea into the feet of Enzo Fernandez. Reece James now in centre field. That's a good-looking ball, laid off by Sancho, out to Cucurella on the left wing. Cucurella backwards of square to Caicedo, and now it's a flat pass infield to Reece James again. James has Martinelli closing down the space. Chelsea knocking the ball around without any real progress or penetration.
Yeah, they can't break down the Arsenal defence here. Well, it's defence, it's the whole team. They've got everybody behind the ball. They're kind of saying to Chelsea, come on, then break us down if you think you are. We'll have a little spell where we'll just sit in and defend it and see if you can break us down. So it's a game of chess.
Chelsea not being able to find any killer moves in that game of chess at the moment as they continue to pop it around, but going nowhere fast. Here is Fofana by the centre circle for Chelsea, and again it's back to Colwell. That's the forward ball into Cucurella, who's laid it off for Nkunku. He couldn't make it stick. Partey sticks out a boot. He's given it away though. Bit of a scrappy passage of play there. Neto now on the right flank for Chelsea. Has a dart at Lewis Skelly. Gets away from him. Reece James has tossed it into the area. Underneath it was Saliba. His clearance doesn't go very far. 2.5 minutes of the first half left to play. Arsenal defending this 1-0 lead, and Saliba has got in a bit of a pickle inside his own penalty area and nearly given it away to Cucurella. Chelsea have got it with Reece James by the D of the area, and Enzo Fernandez scoops a ball over the top as Chelsea fume about a challenge on Nkunku inside the penalty area, but they're getting nothing for that from Chris Kavanagh.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything in that. A more positive last maybe 5 or 6 minutes for Chelsea. I think they've kept the ball better. I still think Arsenal look really, really comfortable. You know, even when they're defending kind of in and around their own 18-yard box, they get plenty of bodies in there. They don't feel really threatened and limit Chelsea to very little. And what they've limited him there is Fernandes having a shot on his left foot from 25 yards.
So Arsenal leading by 1-0 here. A grandstand finish at Celtic Park, meanwhile, for Kenny Crawford.
Yeah, 84 minutes, it's still Celtic 2, Rangers 2, but the pendulum swung very much in the host's favour this half with the 2 goals to get themselves level. Rangers just had a half chance a little minute ago. Connor Barron screwing a shot wide. They've just made a raft of subs, Rangers, for fresh legs. It's such a big battle. It's Celtic 2, Rangers 2.
Here at the Emirates, we are into the final minute of the first half. David Raya with this goal kick for Arsenal, set to continue their unbeaten streak against Chelsea. Currently stands at 6 Premier League games, 4 wins and 2 draws, 6 wins in the last 9 league meetings for the Gunners as well. There's another player who's gone down here, and it's Wesley Fofana this time, who is holding what looks like his neck area after a challenge. Not getting much sympathy. Chris Kavanagh stopped the game. It was an awkward fall, I think, as he and Marino both went for the ball in the air.
Yeah, there was nothing in that in terms of a free kick. I think they both went up and challenged for the ball, and I think what's hurt for Fofana there, like you mentioned, is landing. Sometimes when you look at some of the height that these players jump these days, because of the power that they've got, that when they do land, if they land awkwardly, it can be painful.
Fofana is back up and able to continue as we get set to see the board from the 4th official raised to tell us how much additional time we'll have at the end of a first half that Arsenal have bossed really, and it's going to be another 3 tacked on to the first half here. David Raya waiting to restart play, and Chris Kavanagh comes across to just tell him how he's going to do this. I think it'll be a drop ball, and the Arsenal keeper will have it unopposed, so he just has the ball back in his hands once again. No real change there for David Raya, as Pedro Neto goes to close him down, and Raya collects and bounces, and will get play back underway. Now he rolls it out into the D of his area. Neto will go to close him down again, and Raya will launch it long into the Chelsea half. Marino up against Colwell, he can't win it. Fofana is there for Chelsea. Partey stretching, thought he was fouled by Enzo Fernandez. Play on though, as it's ballooned into the Arsenal half. And Saliba and Gabriel a little bit hesitant in dealing with it, and Nkunku has picked their pocket. Enzo Fernandez in there as well. Both players appealing for a free kick, but Arsenal have come away with it with Martinelli on the right flank. Cucurella tries to block him off and just stunts his progress briefly. Mikel Arteta telling his players to calm it down and slow it down, but Martinelli's got a really good ball in. Sanchez has clawed it away, not very far. Odegaard's hit his charge down, and Chelsea survive. Arsenal looking for a second on the stroke of half-time again. Not convincing goalkeeping from Sanchez. He did just enough to get a glove on it, to take it away for a couple of Arsenal players who were waiting for it, but it could easily have fallen for another Arsenal player to make it 2-0.
That instance there with Sanchez, it was very, very similar to the one that happened earlier in the half, where the ball's curling away from him. He can't come and claim it, but he doesn't punch it. He gets a hand on it and pushes it right down into the danger area. He's lucky again. I think his decision making is poor on whether he should be punching or whether he should be claiming it. And it was quite obvious the ball was moving away from him there. He wasn't able to catch it, so get a punch on it and get some distance.
Free kick for Arsenal inside their own half as we go into the final added minute at the Emirates. It's bounced away of Trossard on the left wing. He's got 2 players coming across to deal with him, and there's been another goal at Celtic Park. Kenny Crawford.
Unbelievable drama. It's Celtic 2, Rangers 3, and one of the subs that just came on, Hamza Egaman, the Moroccan, 23 years old, has stumped it into the top right hand corner. Mistake by the Celtic defence. He took advantage. It's Celtic 2, Rangers 3.
What a week it could be for Rangers, through to the Europa League quarter-finals and leading Celtic by 3 goals to 2 at Celtic Park as well. As we go into the last few seconds here at the Emirates. It's been lively, it's been keenly contested, and it's deserved advantage for Arsenal at the break, with Sanchez about to take a goal kick for Chelsea and it will be the last meaningful action of the game as he belts this upfield. Chris Kavanagh has a quick look at his watch, and there goes the half-time whistle, and I think that that is a deserved score for the Gunners at the interval. Mikel Merino with the only goal of the game, his header from a corner which Chelsea couldn't defend. Sanchez has got lucky a few times, one clearance straight to Martinelli that wasn't punished, and then another couple of flaps from corners, although David Raya got a bit fortunate when a Cucurella effort squirmed through his grasp. But Arsenal, good value for their advantage at the break. It's Arsenal 1, Chelsea 0.
Well, I think that it's a fully deserved lead that they've got. I think it could be even more. I think they had some chances early on in the game. I think they dominated the possession. Arsenal dominated the possession in the early part, and it probably even grew from there. I just didn't feel like Chelsea were able to get any foothold in the game. They weren't able to get kind of any string of possession going. They weren't able to assert any dominance, probably other than the last 4 or 5 minutes, which they had some possession in and around the Arsenal kind of penalty area, but they couldn't fashion any chances. Arsenal have no problem getting bodies behind the ball. They've no problem kind of defending their box if they have to. So a deserved lead, played some really good football. Arsenal, I thought they were really good out of possession, swarmed Chelsea every time they kind of got on the ball, and Chelsea didn't really have the answer. So there's some thinking for Maresca to do at half time. I think he's going to have to change something in terms of whether they can get more movement in behind, or whether they can get a little bit more possession in and around that midfield area by putting another body in there. So difficult half for Chelsea and a good one for Arsenal.
Chelsea on course to lose 4 in a row on the road. Arsenal, meanwhile, set to pick up their first league win in 4. Half-time here, Steve. Arsenal leading Chelsea by a goal to 0.
Thank you very much, both on 5 Sports Extra. Fulham Tottenham has reached half-time. Mike Williams.
And it's Fulham 0, Tottenham 0 here. Not too much to say, really. The home side have been on top without too much to show for it. Just the one shot on target. Ben Davies failing to clear a high ball for Spurs. It fell to Timothy Castagna. The Belgian shot, though, straight at Vicario, who saved smartly. Jimenez and Willian have looked lively for Fulham, but just not been able to unpick a disciplined Spurs defence. Ange Postecoglou, remember, made 7 changes to the side that reached the last 8 of the Europa League on Thursday. He rested most of the big names from the starting 11 that night, but I reckon it won't be too long until we see the likes of Son, Maddison, Van de Ven and Bergvall in the second half. Half-time here at Craven Cottage. Fulham 0, Tottenham 0.
What an old firm contest we've had today. Kenny Crawford.
91 minutes we're into. It's the first minute of 5 minutes added time that we've played. It's Celtic 2, Rangers 3. Celtic looked to be the team with the upper hand in the second half. They got the 2 goals to get level, but then Hamza, eager man, wait until you see this goal. Edge of the box, Alistair Johnston, the Celtic defender, lost his footing, which allowed eager man to get the ball, and he just unleashed one. He'd only been on the pitch about 2 minutes, right into Kasper Schmeichel's top left-hand corner, and it was his 14th of the season, and it's given Rangers the advantage here with 3.5 minutes of added time left to play. Celtic 2, Rangers 3.
We'll keep you right up to date with all of that. Still Sheffield Wednesday 0, Sheffield United 1 in the dying embers in the Championship. We'll be at Tannadice as well. We've got the Tayside derby, Dundee United and Dundee at 3 o'clock. Second halves of those Premier League games to come, and then we'll be back here, all eyes on Wembley, for the League Cup final at 4:30, Newcastle versus Liverpool. Let's get the news now with Carl Hartley.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Steve. The Health Secretary says that there's an overdiagnosis of mental health conditions, with too many people being written off. Speaking to the BBC, Wes Streeting wouldn't confirm reports that the government could abandon a planned freeze on disability benefits, but he insisted the welfare system needs reform. The SNP's Jenny Gilruth says that there's confusion about the government's plan.
We don't yet have the detail, we don't yet have the costings, and we don't understand what that will mean for us in terms of the block grant, and I think that's important. My view is that the United Kingdom government owe an apology to the disabled community across the United Kingdom. They have caused deep concern and anxiety.
59 people have been killed and more than 150 injured in a nightclub fire in North Macedonia. It's understood that fireworks are being used by a band who were performing at the venue in the small town of Kochani led to the fire. Arrest warrants have been issued for 4 people. One man has been found dead and another left with potentially life-changing injuries after a double stabbing in Coventry. Police were called to a house in the city and found the 2 men inside the property. A 51-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of murder. At least 34 people have been killed in tornadoes sweeping across southern and central states in the US. More than 100 million people are under weather alerts. Matthew Capucci is a meteorologist in Alabama.
Some places were hit multiple times. There was one town, Taylorville, where I was actually chasing a tornado. I was on one of those, and they had multiple tornadoes impact the immediate vicinity, and they were under 4 PDS, or particularly dangerous situation tornado warnings.
And a rescue mission to bring 2 stranded astronauts back to Earth has successfully docked at the International Space Station. Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams have been stuck in orbit for 9 months. The original mission was meant to be just 8 days. They're due back on Earth next week.
On BBC Sounds, good things come to those who don't wait. Like Desert Island Discs. So let's get started. Your first choice, what's it going to be? You're Dead to Me.
The comedy podcast that takes... history seriously.
And Friday night comedy.
It's what's in the news with a big dose of satirical silliness.
You don't have to wait to listen to the latest episodes of your favourite podcasts. They're on BBC Sounds before anywhere else. Listen first on BBC Sounds. This is 5 Live Sport.
With Steve Crossman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Arsenal 1, Chelsea 0, Fulham 0, Tottenham 0, half times in the Premier League. Second half commentaries to come on 5 Live and 5 Sports Extra. At Tannadice, it's the Tayside derby. 13 points separate Dundee United in 5th and Dundee, who are second bottom. The biggest gap between them at this stage of the season since 2016. Gavin Wallace.
Yes, Steve, we're looking forward to this. We've had one superb derby in Scotland. This should complement it nicely, as this fixture has returned a whopping 520 goals over the years. The team news as Jim Goodwin makes 1 change. Ferry in for Sybil. Tony Docherty makes 3 as Tiffany Cameron and Scylla all come in, both needing a morale-boosting win. The visitors, though, if they win, would go within a point of Kelly.
Full time at Celtic Park. Kenny Crawford.
Barry Ferguson's Rangers have done it. They've beaten Celtic 3-2 on Celtic's patch. An 88th minute winner by Hamza Igaman. And the 88th minute has won it for Rangers. It's their first win at Celtic Park since October 2020. It's a massive step for Barry Ferguson in terms of him trying to secure that Rangers manager's job beyond just an interim appointment until the summer. They've progressed in the Europa League. Now they've beaten Celtic. It's only the 3rd time Brendan Rodgers has lost to Rangers in 22 matches. That shows what his record was like up until today. Rangers were 2-0 up in the first half. An early goal after 4 minutes by Nico Rask, and then Mo Diomande, the Ivory Coast midfielder, made it 2 on 37 minutes. Then at the start of the second half, it flipped. Daisen Maeda, his 28th of the season, made it 2-1 Rangers. Celtic had pulled 1 back, then they pulled the second one back on the 74th minute. Rio Hitati, another Japan international, his 8th of the season. But Hamza Igaman on in 85 minutes as a sub and scored in the 88th minute, his 14th of the season. It was a wonderful strike, fitting to win any game, and what a battle it's been. 2,400 Rangers fans were here to see it. They're surrounded by a net for safety reasons, but they're absolutely jubilant as the Rangers fans now see the team come towards them. Celtic 2, Rangers 3.
It's all over at Hillsborough. Sani Rudravajula.
Sheffield Wednesday 0, Sheffield United 1. Rhian Brewster has played for 4.5 years for Sheffield United. It's a career that's been tainted with injury in stripe colours, but he has got the winner here, tapping in from 64 minutes. He gets the winner in the end, and Sheffield United move back to second in the table. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Sheffield United 1.
It's still 0-0 in the Women's Super League between Crystal Palace and Aston Villa. That's bottom versus second bottom. The other game today kicks off at 3 o'clock. Tottenham can leapfrog Brighton with a win today. Emily Herbert.
And it's a deal-breaker game for Spurs boss Robert Villaham. If they want to finish in the top 5 this season, they make 2 changes. Top scorer Bethany England is sidelines with a quad injury, and Charlie Grant misses out with concussion. Thomas and Milden come in. As for Brighton, they've been inconsistent, unbeaten at home but struggle on the roads. They've never beaten Spurs in London, but do have Maisie Simmons, who returns from suspension, while Vicky Losada is dropped.
In Rugby League, Lee Leopards host Batley Bulldogs in the Challenge Cup this afternoon. Lee have made a really good start to the Super League season. Can they continue that form in the Cup, Ian Chisnell?
They will be massive favourites to see that it does against a Batley side flying the flag as the only non-Super League side still standing. The Bulldogs, though, have unbeaten themselves despite a crippling injury crisis. But with the shock exit of neighbours and holders Wigan last night, Lee will be fancying a speedy return to Wembley, having lifted the famous trophy in 2023. A strong Leopards should have far too much for Batley. We go from 3.
In Rugby Union, the Premiership's women's rugby final this afternoon is Gloucester Hartpury against Saracens, who are looking to make it 3 titles in a row. Adam Whitty.
Yeah, the top 2 in the regular season meet in the showpiece final at the StoneX Stadium. Gloucester Hartpury, as you say, Steve, going for a historic three-peat, but they also want to give head coach Sean Lynn a fairy tale goodbye as he takes up the Wales job ahead of the Women's Six Nations. They're unchanged from their semi-final win over Bristol. Saracens seeking their 15th English title, their first for 3 years. One change for them, Gabrielle Senft comes into the back row. Will it be the new kids on the block or the old giant of English women's rugby who triumphs today? Kick off at 3.
Golf next, final round of the Players' Championships. Rory McIlroy is in the mix. Ian Carter is at Sawgrass, getting underway a little earlier than planned.
Yes, they are, because there are storms forecast for later today. But Rory McIlroy out of the blocks in explosive style, holding from 8 feet at the first for a birdie, then from 10 feet for an eagle 3 at the second. So he's leapt up to 11 under par, just 1 shot off the lead. That's helped by JJ Spawn, who's just parred the first hole. Bud Corley also at 11 under par. He's playing the second, having parred the opening hole. And Akshay Bhatia, the American, has birdied the first 2 holes. He's got into the group at 10 under par, but McIlroy just 1 behind as he plays the third.
There's commentary of the final round on 5 Sports Extra. That will start after full time at Fulham. Then after that, live tennis from Indian Wells. Mira Andreeva against Arina Sabalenka in the women's final. British number 1 Jack Draper faces Holger Rune in the men's final. After that, full commentary from California on 5 Sports Extra and BBC Sounds. Checkered Flag podcast is out now after Lando Norris victory in the first race of the season. And you're up to date. Right, I'm delighted to say that we've got a couple of minutes now before second half commentary from the Emirates to speak to our special guest this afternoon inside the commentary box, Newcastle midfielder on loan at Portsmouth, Isaac Hayden is with us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having me on.
Oh, no, we're so excited to have you. Insert obligatory question about what a trophy would mean to Newcastle.
Oh, the world. I mean, the support up there is fantastic. As you can see, the atmosphere is building outside the stadium, and yeah, it's going to be an amazing occasion. And you know, if we manage to get it over the line, it could be a national Geordie day, I think.
I mean, there'd be parts that wouldn't accept that, but long parts that would as well. I mean, you know all of these players so well, and in the hour build-up to kick-off, we'll talk about loads of them in detail. But I just wonder, when you think of a major cup final, are there 1, 2, 3 players that in your mind immediately jump out as being absolutely ready for an occasion like this?
Yeah, I mean, Bruno Guimaraes, I think, if he turns up today, I think could be a major factor in the performance of Newcastle. And I think we've seen in previous games how important Joe Linton is as well. Obviously, I played with Joey a few years, and I just know how important he is to this team and what he brings to the team. So I think those 2 in particular, if they can be on top of their game, I think Newcastle have got a fantastic chance today.
How pleased would you be for Eddie Howe if he was to be able to win this today?
Yeah, I mean, Eddie's a special guy. Obviously, I only had a few games under him, but as I said, I thoroughly enjoyed my time working under him. We still have occasional chats now, even though I've not been at the club for a couple of years. But yeah, I think for him to be able to go and do it, which other managers haven't been able to for so long, I think it put him in a special place in Newcastle fans' hearts.
Where are we right now then? So it's 2:30, so we're 2 hours from kick-off. What will he be doing? What will the players be doing at this stage before a big game?
I think just go through the normal routines. I think the most important thing is to not overplay the occasion. Take it as another game. I know that's what the message he'll be portraying to the players. Obviously, use the emotion and the occasion, but don't get overawed by it. I think there's a lot of big players in the team that have played in cup finals before that will use their experience for today. But I think it's just about staying calm and sticking to the game plan and imposing their game on Liverpool today.
You've also played against pretty much all of these Liverpool players that we'll see this afternoon as well. So I'm going to save playing against Mo Salah for a little bit later, I think. But in the round, this Liverpool team are outstanding. Do you think they might... Is one way in for Newcastle if Liverpool might be a bit leggy after midweek?
Yeah, definitely. I think Newcastle obviously have the extra rest. That'll definitely be playing on their minds. I think also the emotion of playing PSG in midweek was massive for Liverpool, and obviously the emotional challenge that held. But I think, as said, it's a cup final, so if you can't get up for a cup final, you can't get up for any game. So I think it'll be who turns up on the day, and as said, who gives their all to win the game.
Really looking forward to picking your brains, Isaac.
No problem.
Great stuff. Isaac Hayden is with us for the rest of the afternoon. Former Liverpool and England man Stephen Warnock will be here as well. That's your commentary team with John Murray and Ian Dennis here at Wembley Stadium at 4:30. Fulham 0, Spurs 0 in the Premier League. Second half commentary right now on 5 Sports Extra. Here on 5 Live, Arsenal 1, Chelsea 0. Andy Reid and Mark Scott.
Thank you, Steve. Perfect timing. Chelsea get the second half underway, kicking from right to left in this second half. No changes from either manager at the interval, so Raya in goal for Arsenal, Lewis Skelly, Gabriel, Saliba and Timber at the back, Ødegaard, Partey and Rice in midfield, Trossard, Marino and Martinelli, the front three. Marino the goal scorer in the first half. Chelsea with Sanchez in goal, Cucurella, Colwill, Badiashile and Fofana in defence. Caicedo and James, the two in front of them, Sancho, Fernandes and Nkunku supporting Neto through the middle. And that central midfield battle certainly won by Arsenal in the first half, Andy Reid.
Yeah, absolutely. They dominated, probably I would say maybe 80-85% of that first half. Listen, the thing for Chelsea is it's still only 1-0. They're still kind of right in this game. It only takes one moment to be able to do it, but they have to get a little bit more of a foothold in the game. They have to put a little bit more pressure, and they have to try and get a couple of attempts on goal. The only real time they troubled Arsenal was from a mistake from the Arsenal goalkeeper.
Almost a mistake by Saliba as a long ball over the top was chased by Nkunku. Saliba got a nibble on it to send it back to David Raya, who launches the clearance upfield. It bounces around in the centre circle, looped up to Martinelli for Arsenal. Gabriel Martinelli has laid it off for Ødegaard. He's into the box now. Ødegaard looking for the angle to get the cross in, tees it up for Martinelli to do instead. Badiashile read it and pops it out for an Arsenal throw.
Yeah, it's been an open enough start to the second half, all 90 seconds in, but Chelsea had a bit of a half opportunity there. There was a bit of a mix-up in the Arsenal defence, and Arsenal got right up the other end. Good bit of combination play from Martinelli and Ødegaard, and putting Chelsea under a little bit of pressure.
Throw for Arsenal, about level with the Chelsea penalty area, which is taken by Timber. Back to Saliba, who holds off the challenge of Neto and now sets Martinelli away on that right, and he's knocked it against Cucurella and behind for an Arsenal corner. Chelsea need to be better at defending these crosses. Sanchez has flapped at a few from open play, and Arsenal's goal came from a corner in the first half that was nodded in by Marino.
They've got a lot of different ways of scoring from corners. You look at it, they mix it up. Some they come across the front post, others they make blocks and they go around the back post, and they really keep you guessing as to which area of the goal you need to secure.
So it will be Martin Ødegaard to take this left-footed. It'll dip in towards that 6-yard box, which is so heavily populated at the moment. So many Arsenal shirts around Sanchez. Chelsea trying to block off each respective member as Ødegaard plays a very disappointing ball in. No height on it at all, so Nkunku coming across can make a very easy clearance at the near post. Arsenal have got it back with Rice, who's played it onto Marino. He's found Ødegaard, who's found himself in an offside position, which is disappointing.
Yeah, he shouldn't really go offside there. He's looking across the line. You know, he can see where the Chelsea defenders are, so he shouldn't really be drifting into an offside position. I just wonder if Marino could have given it to him first time rather than taking a touch. It was difficult maybe for him to check his run.
Early stages of the second half. Arsenal 1, Chelsea 0. Arsenal felt that the ball had been taken out of play there, but it's with Pedro Neto, who's going to have a hit from 25 yards out straight into the body of William Saliba. So early doors in the second half here, and very early stages of what is a packed Sunday of sport for you on 5 Live. The League Cup final fast approach. Newcastle against Liverpool. John Murray, Ian Dennis and Stephen Warnock will talk you through all the action from Wembley. And then Leicester against Manchester United follows at 7 o'clock in the Premier League, and 6:06 with Robbie and Chris with all of the reaction to what has unfolded today. And we've already got reaction from some of the other big sporting events of the weekend. The Six Nations with that thrilling finish on Saturday. France crowned champions, and you can hear the Rugby Union Weekly podcast on BBC Sounds right now with Chris Jones and Sarah Orchard. And there's reaction and analysis from the memorable Australian Grand Prix earlier on this morning. Lando Norris beating Max Verstappen in what was a action-packed race in Melbourne. The Checkered Flag podcast available for you on BBC Sounds right now as well.
That last little passage of play from Chelsea there, I think probably summed up where the problems have come from in this game. You look at the midfield area, they had Casado and James dropping deep to try and look for the ball, but then on the top line then you had 4 players including Fernandes. Now against the 3 players of Arsenal, it's going to be in the middle of the park. It's going to be really difficult for them to be able to build.
And here is Partey trying to build for Arsenal. He was in a useful area, 10 yards outside the Chelsea box, had options left and right, played it straight through the middle, and it rolled through to Robert Sanchez. This one of 2 Premier League games today, kicking off at 1:30, the others at Craven Cottage. And here's Mike Williams.
6 minutes gone in the second half here, Mark. It's still Fulham 0, Tottenham 0, but we predicted Ange Postecoglou would look to make some changes, and he has done that at half-time, bringing on Bergvall and Son for Basuma and Johnson, and Spurs already looking more lively, a bit more of a zip about them. They've forced 2 corners early on in this second half, looking for a breakthrough, but as it currently stands, we're goalless on the banks of the River Thames. Fulham 0, Tottenham 0.
And here at the Emirates, Arsenal still lead Chelsea by a Marino header to 0 with 5 minutes gone since the interval.
Just on the back of that point that I was making, I think they, just looking at ways that Chelsea can get a bit of a foothold in the game. Fernandes dropped a little bit deep, but I think he's playing a bit high at the moment. That would even her up in midfield, and then you could even get Sancho then dropping into the number 10 position to create an extra midfielder at times. And then you might end up getting a 4v3. You might be able to build a little bit more centrally, because at the moment it's 2v3 in there, and Casado can't really get on the ball. Reece James, we've hardly seen him in the game, and the Arsenal players, it's all too comfortable for him in the midfield area, but they're getting outnumbered.
It's Gabriel bringing it forwards for Arsenal into the feet of Marino. Sold a bit short by the return pass was Gabriel from Marino, but it's wrestled back by Leandro Trossard, who's quite clearly been dragged back there, and it's going to be a free kick for Arsenal midway inside the Chelsea half. Fofana looks incredulous, but the yellow card is out. Not sure if it's for Fofana or for Pedro Neto for a bit of back chat to Chris Kavanagh, but there certainly is a yellow.
I'm pretty sure that was for Neto. The way he's gone over and shouting at the referee because he didn't get a free kick over on this near side. It's petulant.
Yeah, confirmed that it's dissent for Neto that has led to that caution coming out from Chris Kavanagh. Going back to your earlier point about the midfield not quite working for Chelsea, is it too obvious to say no Cole Palmer means that they've got no real clue as to what to do in that vicinity? Because this is the first Premier League game they haven't had him since April of last year when they were beaten 5-0 here.
He definitely does like to come and get on the ball, and he takes up them pockets really well, attaches himself onto midfield, drifts into the little pockets which are sometimes very difficult to mark. So I do think it is a decent point, but there's no reason why Fernandes can't drop a little bit deeper to try and help that midfield out. I just think he's playing too high at the moment, and it's not allowing Chelsea to get any foothold when they're trying to build. When the ball goes forward and when they get it wide, Fernandes can get forward then, but in the build he needs to drop deeper.
Arsenal have taken the free kick and sent it wide to Trossard, who's got a low ball in, and Badiashile sticks out a boot to balloon it behind for an Arsenal corner. That was nicely worked by Arsenal and well defended by Badiashile.
Trossard, for somebody who, he doesn't appear to be really, really quick. He's brilliant at getting a half a yard, and he slows defenders down, speeds them up, moves the ball really well, and more often than not gets a delivery into the box. Really good play going on the outside, wins his team a corner.
So Arsenal with this corner out on the left flank, just in front of the Chelsea supporters as it's going to be taken, and Arsenal have 3 players at the far post, who now start to swarm towards the centre of the goal, and the heads went up. Chelsea get a bit fortunate as it bounces the way of Pedro Neto, surging away, and Partey gets back at him just about the right side of the law as he made the challenge, and then Timbers lunged in on Pedro Neto. The Arsenal fans love that. Chris Kavanagh saw it as a fair challenge. Pedro Neto on his knees, looking pleadingly at the fourth official, who looks away from him. He gets nothing for that, and Timber has it for Arsenal. Rolled into Marino, who just beats himself with a miscontrol, and it's cleared by Badiashile. But that's got the home fans going, that challenge, and that has brought a yellow card from Chris Kavanagh, a challenge by Gabriel, which was late and clumsy, and he is booked.
Yeah, you can't have too many complaints about that. I think it's a booking. Reece James has got there before him. Gabriel's felled him as he's followed through. But going back to the Neto one a couple of minutes before, I can't understand what he's complaining about. You know, he's getting up, he's moaning at the fourth official, he's moaning at the referee. Lewis Skelly tracked back brilliantly well, and he won the ball. He won the ball quite cleanly as well. And you know, it's just a bit of petulance from Neto. Just get on with the game and try and get your team back into it, because he's a brilliantly talented player. We want to see him in possession rather than moaning at referees all the time.
Free kick then for that foul by Gabriel that saw him become the first Arsenal player in the book, and Levi Colwill will take it with 10 minutes gone since the break, and Arsenal still comfortably holding on to this 1-0 advantage given to them by Marino's header, and Marino is being accused by Caicedo of a naughty challenge. It will just be a free kick. Chelsea hoping for further punishment for Marino.
It's been really scrappy start to the second half. No team has really kind of asserted any dominance. No one's really kept the ball. There's been lots of fouling, kind of bit petulance, lots of moaning. The game hasn't quite got going in the second half yet.
Cucurella chasing a long one over the top, watched well by Timber, and his header just plops out for a throw to Chelsea, midway inside the Arsenal half. Chelsea looking for a leveller here in a game that they've been second best in, and nearly a errant pass from Badiashile that Marino was able to capitalise on halfway, but Chelsea have got it with Nkunku. No sooner do I say that, and he coughs it up, and Martinelli can bring it forwards for Arsenal, and Colwill has to motor to take it away from Marino and find his goalkeeper Sanchez, who slips as he clears it upfield, hence the big cheers from the home fans. It's Saliba who slips it into Ødegaard. Good pass that. Ødegaard's ball now for Martinelli. Forces him slightly wide on the right-hand side, which gives Badiashile the angle to just shunt him down towards the byline. It's down in front of the corner flag now. Martinelli desperately looking for some support. Doesn't get any, but he does get the throw as Badiashile pops it out.
Yeah, it's a lovely pocket that Ødegaard dropped into there. Really, really nice. It's just in and around where that referee is. There was a really good line-breaking pass. He gets the ball towards and slips Martinelli in, and it was good defending in the end by Chelsea. They got numbers back quickly and shepherded Martinelli out of play.
Ødegaard is dumped on his backside by Cucurella. He appeals to the assistant right in front of him that should be a free kick, but it's only going to be a throw for the Gunners, which Timber is going to take for an Arsenal side leading 1-0, and good value for their 1-0 lead. Saliba, midway inside the Chelsea half, has played it into Thomas Partey. He gives it away to Nkunku, and Partey's flattened Enzo Fernandez, and Nkunku's carried it forwards. Thomas Partey getting back at him and just stunting the progress of Nkunku, so Chelsea have to just delay on halfway. It's Cucurella infield to Caicedo. This is still just on the halfway line really for Chelsea. No real probing or penetration from them at the moment. Now they're back inside their own half. There's a forward pass into Reece James, and Declan Rice onto him in a flash. So back Chelsea go once again. Caicedo now pops it forwards for Enzo Fernandez. That's a useful ball for Pedro Neto outside the area. He's gone for goal, and it's a wild curler well over the top of the crossbar. But it's a bit better from Chelsea. It was a bit more incisive, a bit more positive, and it led to the hit over the top as a yellow card comes out for Thomas Partey, I think, for an earlier challenge.
Yeah, it was good play by Chelsea. They worked it really well, and that time you do see Fernandez dropping a little bit deeper to try and get on the ball, and he's getting closer to his midfield. When he gets it towards, he can play Neto in, so there's forward runs when he does find that space in the 10 position. Poor effort in the end from Neto, but a little bit of positivity for Chelsea.
Approaching the hour mark then, and Chelsea's run of away form set to continue. No win in their last 6 on the road in the league. losing 4 of the last 5, and that's going to be a yellow card this time for Wesley Fofana, who the Arsenal fans feel that is long overdue for.
I think he's rolled the spare ball back onto the pitch, so Arsenal couldn't take a quick throw in there.
That's an interesting one. I don't think I've seen that tactic used by a player before, but that's what he's collected the yellow for, delaying the restart by using the extra ball. 3 Chelsea players on yellows now, and 2 of them in the defence, in Colwill and Fofana. Arsenal with the 1-0 lead, with almost an hour played, as the ball bounces favourably for Declan Rice, who works it on for Martinelli, edge of the area, Gabriel Martinelli, Cucurella forcing him wide. Martinelli still has the ball, doesn't have any support, gets it in the shape of Trossard now. Leandro Trossard for Martinelli, chance to whip the ball in, it's a good cross, and there's Marino denied by Sanchez. Good volley, smart save by Sanchez. Arsenal still have it. Lewis Skelly, that was close to a second goal that would have put Arsenal in a really commanding position, given how little Chelsea have offered going forwards. As it is, it remains 1-0. Sanchez with a good piece of work there after some unconvincing moments earlier on in the game.
Yeah, it was a really, really good save. Really good save.
Here goes Lewis Skelly now, and on the left-hand side, it's actually going to be cleared by Chelsea up towards Pedro Neto, who's weaved away on the right flank. He's got Saliba up with him, and Saliba lunges in on Neto, wins the ball and puts it behind for a corner kick. Andy Reid.
Yeah, that's better from Neto. It's really good. He looks like he's used that little bit of anger. He's got it out there. He's put more energy into it. Good run. He goes on the outside of Gabriel, who he forces him to make a tackle, and Chelsea win a corner.
We've just seen a replay of that save from Sanchez. He was so deep that even though he got his hands to it, it was only just in front of the goal line when he made the block from Marino to prevent him getting his second of the game. An hour played then, Chelsea 1 down, but they do have a corner here, and this is heading into the 6-yard box, judging by where all the blue shirts are. Waits whips this in near post, and behind it goes from Rice again, so it will be another Neto corner, as David Raya just shoved Cucurella away before the corner was delivered. Chelsea trying to beat Arsenal at their own game with some funny business in the box and choreographed movement off the ball. Neto with the in-swinger once again. That's really poor, doesn't clear the first man. Rice gets his head to it. Now Trossard with a bit of juggling down by the byline, which isn't the best advised piece of play, but he's pulled it off, and then Enzo Fernandez has chopped him down. It's a free kick for Arsenal. Enzo Fernandez is pleading with the assistant referee. It's a free kick, and Fernandez gets away without a yellow card on top of it.
Yeah, he's trying to say that Trossard made the most. Listen, I think it's a free kick. I don't think it's anything more than a free kick. It's all got a little bit kind of moany and petulant, and everybody, screaming and shouting for things that aren't really happening.
Arsenal 1-0 up, and on the attack with Ødegaard, 25 yards out. Square pass for Lewis Skelly, who's rolled it wide for Leandro Trossard. Trossard looking for the angle for the hit, which he found, but he found a cluster of blue shirts in his way. Lewis Skelly works it to Ødegaard. Still 3 Arsenal players in there, and it's all the way to the far post, and Timber has to scamper to try and keep it in, but he was offside anyway, so Chelsea have the free kick.
Marino's technique from that chance a couple of minutes ago, where I think it was Trossard's gone on the outside. Yeah, we're just seeing a replay of it there, and it's really close. It's right on the goal line. But the technique that he used is like a side foot volley. Got really good power onto it, really good connection with it. It was excellent body shape to get a good contact on it, and it was a good save, you have to say. I know at times in today's game we've been critical of Sanchez, but he's pulled off a really good save there, because Marino was probably maybe a bit more than that, maybe 8-9 yards out, but got good contact on it. So well done to the keeper on that one.
Marino having much more of an impact today than he has recently. He started Arsenal's last 3 league games before this one as the main striker. Only managed 5 shots and only 1 on target, as Caicedo and Martinelli get in a bit of a squabble, and Mikel Arteta was almost on the pitch making his point, and there is that niggle and needle that you mentioned has been prevalent right from the off, really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind I don't mind people being really passionate and wanting to go and tackle, but I'm just a little bit low. I'm looking at the players, and both sides, I think, I'm just like, get on with the game. Come on, go and play football. Go and show some of that really good play that you can do. Put in your tackles, make them. They just seem, every decision moaning at the referee, and Arteta's doing the same now a little bit. Maresca's doing the same. Just get on with the game of football. There's some brilliantly talented players out there. Go on, show what you can do.
64 minutes on the clock. Arsenal 1, Chelsea 0. And this is problematic for Chelsea in terms of their Champions League qualification hopes. If they win the Conference League, they'll be in the Europa League next season, but I don't think that the ownership will feel that that is good enough. Marino has sent it on here for Declan Rice, who's got to the byline. Wide and back for Ødegaard's hit. Sanchez with safe hands just about. It was a low bobbler from Ødegaard, and he made it stick as Ødegaard flies in on Cucurella here, and Chris Kavanagh needs to just try and get a lid on things, because that needle and niggle has just gone up a level and it's threatening to boil over, and Ødegaard lunging in there on Cucurella gets a yellow.
Yeah, I think Ødegaard knows what he's doing there. He knows that if Cucurella gets away from him, he knows that Cucurella's quicker than him, first of all. But then he knows if he gets away from him, that Arsenal are going to be under a little bit of pressure. You just feel that there's another goal in this for Arsenal soon enough. They've started to, turn that dominance into more chances. It's settling down for them in terms of the play. They're starting to create chances. They're starting to get to the byline. There's some cutbacks. They're getting good numbers into the box, and you just feel it's not too far away from another Arsenal goal.
Chelsea in possession with Fofana back to Colwell, square to Sanchez as the Arsenal fans find their voice. It's collected by Timber though for Arsenal. Good dummy from Trossard. Rice was onto it but ran away from him, and Fofana now runs forwards for Chelsea, who trail here by a goal to nil. Cutting infield is Jadon Sancho. Has been quiet in this second half, had a few moments of note in the first period. Reece James unable to stamp his authority on that central midfield role, playing there in place of Palmer today, with Enzo Fernandez actually moving further forwards into Palmer's position, but Reece James coming into the side for Palmer, who's got a slight injury, should be back after the international break according to Enzo Maresca. Whether he features for England's another thing. Full commentary of Thomas Tuchel's first game as England boss, by the way, on Friday when Albania go to Wembley, and we're at Wembley later of course for the League Cup final, Liverpool against Newcastle, fast approaching that one, a 4:30 kick-off. John Murray, Ian Dennis and Stephen Warnock talking you through all of the action there, and then after that we'll have commentary from the King Power as Leicester take on Manchester United in the Premier League, and 6:06 rounds off the day for you with Robbie and Chris as well. I wonder what Chelsea fans will make of this latest defeat, if it is to be another setback on the road. They've got 24 minutes plus stoppage time to try and find a leveller. Reece James in that quarterback position, dropping deep, and that's a lovely ball over the top for Cucurella to chase. He's kept it in by the byline, has then had to go back an awful long way to Caicedo. His chipped pass forwards into Nkunku. James almost dwelt in possession too long. Ødegaard was quickly onto him, but Caicedo has it midway inside the Arsenal half. Square ball to Colwell. Tempo just slows down a bit as James rolls it into the feet of Fofana, and we're down to walking pace again.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea have had some spells of possession in this type of area here, where they've kept it, they've knocked it across the back. Arsenal have got everybody behind the ball. So, the possession stats probably wouldn't be too far off each other. I'd imagine they'd be pretty even, but they haven't been able to have any really good possession in and around the top half of the pitch, in and around Arsenal's goal area, in and around the 18-yard box. Everything's kind of been in and around the halfway line when Arsenal have dropped off and said to them, go on then, try and break us down, because they're the ones with the one-goal lead. They're the ones now. Chelsea have to start coming into this game a little bit more, start committing more men forward. They need the goal.
Well, that was a little bit risky from Thomas Partey, who's just buffeted into Moises Caicedo, who is on a yellow card, and I think that Partey was ill-advised with that shunt, and with three players on both teams on yellow cards, you feel that someone needs to watch their step a bit more. We'll be going to Craven Cottage shortly as Ødegaard has it, but he's lost possession. That was also a 1:30 kick-off, Fulham against Spurs, and it was 0-0 last time we were with Mike Williams.
It's still 0-0, Mark, but Spurs are so much improved in this second half, almost recognisable from their first half. It's the substitutes who have made the difference. Lucas Bergvall, really brilliant cross to Dominic Solanke, downward header just wide of Leno's right-hand post, and then just just a minute ago. Matthias Tell fizzed one in, parried by Leno, fell to another substitute, James Maddison. This time Solanke just couldn't control his effort, and that one just over the bar. But Spurs in the ascendancy here. It's Fulham 0, Tottenham 0.
Earlier on today, Sheffield United won the Steel City derby, and that victory by a goal to nil at Hillsborough has moved them level on points with leaders Leeds in the Championship. And Rangers won a topsy-turvy Old Firm derby at Celtic Park by 3 goals to 2 to round off a good week for Barry Ferguson's men after their Europa League success against Fenerbahce. Here's Martinelli for Arsenal, driving into the penalty area. Badiashile timed his challenge well and pops it out for a throw.
Celtic's still a good few points clear though, are they?
I thought that you might mention that. Watching your reaction as the goals flew in was as good entertainment as the match here, really.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, look, can't have too many complaints, I suppose, if you're 14 points clear.
Celtic romping to the Scottish Premiership title, and of course Liverpool running away with the Premier League. Arsenal 15 points behind them with 10 games to go before today. They will close that gap a little if they can secure the victory here, although according to Opta's supercomputer they have a 0.51% chance of winning the title, with Liverpool in League Cup final action against Newcastle, which we'll have full commentary on 4:30. Now, foul just outside the area, Caicedo on Lewis Skelly, and the card might be out from Chris Kavanagh again here. Chelsea are lobbying him and pleading their case, and there's some off-the-ball arguments that are ongoing at the moment as well. Tough one for the referee this game, because it was actually Fofana who leant in, and he is booked already. So again, another player treading the tightrope, and that's why Arsenal were quickly around Chris Kavanagh, imploring him to get out a second yellow.
Yeah, I mean, there's 10, 12 players, maybe even more, gathered around the referee, and everybody's moaning. Some think it's a booking, some not, some don't think it's a free kick, and you know, it's quite obviously a free kick. Just get back in and defend the goal. And then the Arsenal players as well, they're 1-0 up, they're pretty comfortable in this game. Just stay out of it.
Well, I thought that was all meant to be stamped out now, wasn't it? That only the captains were allowed to approach the referees, but that went out the window after that coming together, because they were all crowding around Chris Kavanagh. At the moment, there's a few Arsenal players crowding around the ball here, because it's a free kick in a very handy position for the Gunners, slightly left of centre as Arsenal look at things, and a couple of yards outside the box. So Ødegaard and Partey in conversation, Declan Rice in there as well, Trossard too. They're all having a real natter about what they're planning to do with this one.
Yeah, a real natter about it, but I'd be very, very surprised if Ødegaard doesn't take this, try and bend it over the wall into the keeper's right-hand side.
Sanchez adjusting his wall right now, and 4 has become 2 in terms of the options for Arsenal. It is either Ødegaard or Rice who's going to strike this.
Yeah, well, look, it's either Ødegaard going to take it, or maybe he takes a little touch, knocks it to the side for Rice to strike it. We know Rice can strike a ball really well.
19 minutes to go, Arsenal 1-0 up, and with this free kick, which Ødegaard is waiting to take, but still wants to just get some more instructions to his teammates who have infiltrated the Chelsea wall, which is comprised of almost all of their outfield players, and Jadon Sancho lying on the deck in that usual draft excluder position. Ødegaard's happy with the configuration now, but has then got across to appeal to the referee, saying that they're not back the full complement. This has gone on for a while, these shenanigans. I think that they're satisfied now, so will it be Rice or Ødegaard? It's Declan Rice to hit, and it's deflected behind for a corner after all of that.
Yeah, after all that, we got excited, and he goes and kicks it straight at the wall. Arsenal got a little bit lucky there, because it has ricocheted out, corner kick, and we know how dangerous they can be from them.
It was off Enzo Fernandez's backside, and behind for a corner. There's some activity on the Chelsea bench. I think that we might see George in the not too distant future. Enzo Maresca getting ready to shuffle his pack. He has been accused of not making substitutions quickly enough, reactionary rather than sort of trying to affect the game on his own terms. And definitely alterations coming. Dewsbury Hall is also stripped and about to come on as well, but not for a bit yet. as Arsenal get set to take this corner. It's Rice's whip in, it's a good ball, and at the far stick Martinelli got a head to it, but not the angle he was hoping for, harmlessly behind for a goal kick.
I think that's probably a really good example of how Arsenal can mix it up. You know, the goal that they scored in the front in the first half was at the front post. It was good movement across. You get good blocking going on. That time they've tried to work a couple of blocks in the middle of the goal to get Martinelli free at the back post. So they've got a good variety in them corner kicks, and you can see why they've scored plenty of goals from them so far this season.
Just over a quarter of an hour of the 90 left to play here at the Emirates. Arsenal 1, Chelsea 0. Mikel Merino's header from a corner. The difference between the sides, but Arsenal will feel that they should have a bigger cushion given the big chances that have come and gone for them. Chelsea's best when David Raya allowed a Cucurella volley to squirm through him and narrowly wide of the post. Good ball over the top here for Declan Rice to chase in the left channel. He's got away from the challenge of Reece James, and then James has done enough to ensure Rice sends another play for a goal kick. Andy Reid.
Yeah, he's done. Reece James has done really well to stay with Declan Rice there. Declan Rice has opened up his legs, and he's really, when he gets that stride going, he's difficult to stay with. Reece James has stayed on there. I just wonder, I think Declan Rice might have been slightly offside when he made that run anyway.
Loop forwards into the Arsenal half. Saliba wins the header easily against Pedro Neto. Caicedo to Enzo Fernandez. Not really worked, that combination of Reece James and Caicedo in midfield. Enzo Fernandez trying to fill the void left by the absence of Cole Palmer, who's missing with a slight injury. Might hear more about that from Enzo Maresca afterwards, and you can see the highlights from this game and Fulham against Spurs on Match of the Day 2 tonight with Jason Mohammed, Wayne Rooney and Troy Deeney. That's on BBC One from 10:30. Arsenal set to take all 3 points here. Fulham and Spurs set to share the points. Last time we were at the Cottage with Mike Williams.
Yeah, 2 efforts though from Fulham in close succession that almost broke the deadlock for the home side. The first curling shot from Andreas Pereira that forced a flying save from Vicario. It fell then to the feet of Willian. The Brazilian let fly with another curling shot towards the other back post. This one just wide. Fulham finally woken up. 15 minutes to go here. It's Fulham 0, Tottenham 0.
And Chelsea are making these changes now. Tyreek George and Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, who scored in the week against Copenhagen in the Europa League. The players coming on, and it's Jadon Sancho and Christopher Nkunku who come off.
Yeah, they haven't really made an impact in this game. Sancho and Nkunku, they haven't been able to get in very many positions to go 1v1. They haven't really ran in behind. I can't think of too many chances that they created or that they had themselves. So disappointing afternoon for them too. And I think Maresca with the substitutes, I think like Kieran Dewsbury Hall, he's come on that kind of left-hand side, but I fully expect him to play a bit more central at times, and maybe, you know, him and Fernandez drop a little bit deeper and try and get a little bit of a foothold in that midfield area.
19-year-old Tyreek George, who's come on as a sub in 5 of Chelsea's last 8 Premier League games, his only career Premier League appearances, still looking for his first goal in Chelsea colours, as Chelsea chase a leveller inside the last quarter of an hour, as Sanchez has the ball inside his own penalty area, takes his time before playing it square to Badiashile, arrowed forwards by him, cut out by Saliba, almost given straight to Dewsbury Hall. His pass is overhit, and Timber can find safety in the shape of Saliba, all the way back to David Raya, who took his time. Dewsbury Hall was closing him down. We'll be at Craven Cottage shortly, as Arsenal do play the ball out safely from the back, and it's gone out for a throw. So let's go back to Mike Williams.
Well, I just said Fulham had finally woken up, and they've made the breakthrough here. It's the substitute Rodrigo Muniz with a toe poke to give Fulham the lead. Confusion in the Tottenham defence. They just couldn't clear their lines, and Muniz was quickest to it to smash it home and give Fulham the lead. Not sure they deserve it on this second half showing, but it's Marco Silva's side in front with 12 minutes to play. Fulham 1, Tottenham 0.
So 1-0 to Fulham at Craven Cottage against Spurs, and Arsenal leading Chelsea by a goal to 0 here, as Mikel Arteta just indicates that he wants to make a change here. And as Julien Laurent predicted earlier, Gabriel Martinelli doesn't last the full 90. His first start since that hamstring injury he suffered against Newcastle in the League Cup semi-final, second leg in February. And he has lasted longer than perhaps some would have expected, 75 or so minutes, and he goes off. And Ethan Nwaneri, who missed out on the full England squad but had a call up to the under-21s, will come on.
I know Martinelli is probably a little bit of time wasting there. He maybe got a little bit of a bang in the back, but he's taken about 2.5 minutes to get up off the ground there to just walk a half a yard off the pitch.
So Ethan Wanyeri gets a big hand from the home fans. 12 minutes plus stoppage time left for Arsenal to negotiate to get a first win in 4 league games. They've dropped points. They've dropped 11 points, should I say, in their last 9 league matches. It's been a disappointing period for them. And the victory against their London rivals will do them the power of good off the back of their very comfortable Champions League success against PSV over 2 legs, which has set up that mouth-watering showdown with Real Madrid. Legia Warsaw lie in wait for Chelsea in the quarter-finals of the Conference League, as Badiashile has it for Chelsea. Just over 10 minutes left to play. Arsenal 1-0 up. Full commentary from Wembley on the way after this, as Liverpool and Newcastle do battle in the League Cup final, and then it's Leicester Manchester United at 7 o'clock in the Premier League. 6:06 follows that. It is the international break next weekend, but plenty to occupy you on 5 Live during the week. We've got the Monday Night Club, which will be chewing over all of the weekend's action. Chris Sutton, Theo Walcott and Rory Smith joining Mark Chapman. And there has been a try in the Premiership Women's Rugby Final. Gloucester Hartpury against Saracens. Adam Whitty.
A try for each side, in fact. Frantic start here. Gloucester Hartpury 7, Saracens 7. Kate Williams for the defending champions. England fullback Jess Breach for Sarries. 8 minutes gone. Gloucester Hartpury 7, Saracens 7.
And switching to Rugby League, it's the Challenge Cup 4th round. Lee Leopards against Batley Bulldogs. Ian Chisnell.
Lee 6, Batley 0. It took the Super Leaguers 5.5 minutes to break the stubborn Yorkshireman, but Myla Hanley, running against the grain, went in close to the post. Darnell McIntosh, however, made a real mess of the conversion. Lee 4, Batley 0.
Thank you, Ian. Earlier on today, we heard Sheffield United win the Steel City derby by 1-0, which moves them level on points with Leeds at the top of the Championship. As this is a ball through that Trossard can chase, and he's got the ball in towards Marino. He's knocked down for Declan Rice. Dewsbury Hall's back there to try and clear. Wanyeri looked to have controlled that with his hand inside the box, and it will be a free kick for Chelsea inside their own penalty area.
Yeah, I think we'll see a little bit more of that in the last 10 minutes. You know, I think Arsenal have kind of dropped back off to mostly a mid-block now, and, you know, kind of saying to Chelsea, go on, then break us down. Chelsea are having more and more possession as the game goes on, but still what we mentioned earlier on and in the first half, with that possession they haven't been able to fashion any opportunities, or they haven't really been able to put Arsenal under very much pressure at all.
Change for Chelsea here. Lavia is coming on, and Reece James is going to be taken off. The Dundee derby got underway at 3 o'clock. Early stages at Tannadice. Here's Gavin Wallace.
8 minutes gone, Mark. Dundee United 0, Dundee 0. Dundee with the best chance. There was a counter from Scott Tiffany from deep inside his half. He had 3 options, one to his left, one to his right. He took the third and fluffed the shot. It's 0-0.
It was 3-2 to Rangers at Celtic Park earlier on today, although Andy Reid very keen to remind everyone that Celtic are still very far clear in the Premiership title race. Caicedo can't bring the ball down inside his own half, so Trossard has got it for Arsenal. Ødegaard is boxed off by Caicedo, so goes back to Timber. But Arsenal looking comfortable and competent as they protect this 1-0 advantage. Lewis Skelly's been caught in possession though, and that allowed Tyreek George to step in. He couldn't make anything of it though. The pass was poor, and Arsenal have it with Declan Rice just shy of the halfway line. Arsenal 1, Chelsea 0. Marino's header set to be the match winner, and it was a tight game when they met at Stamford Bridge in November. Martinelli on the hour. Pedro Neto did equalise for Chelsea, but it is going to continue Arsenal's unbeaten stretch against the Blues. It'll be 7 Premier League games in a row without defeat for them. And looking to extend their lead here as Trossard comes forward and plays it in for Declan Rice, who's got to the byline. Rice, has he kept it in? He has, but he's also put the cross straight into the arms of Sanchez.
Yeah, but Declan Rice was offside there. We can see from the position that we're in that when that ball was played, he was clearly 3 or 4 yards offside, and they're the ones that frustrate you as a coach, you know. And you know it's clearly offside, but they let it play on to see how it turns out. And that the disappointment, especially if you're chasing a game like Chelsea, where they want to get the ball back as quickly as they possibly can.
It's Lever on halfway for Arsenal. Low flat pass in towards Marino, anticipated by Colwell, who pings it into the feet of Enzo Fernandez. He swivels inside the centre circle and works it out wide to Tyreek George. George is retreating after Lewis Skelly closed off the space, so it's Enzo Fernandez in the centre circle again for Chelsea. I think that the energy is something that Enzo Maresca will be a bit disappointed with. They did play on Thursday, Chelsea, but it was a bit of a changed side for that midweek game with Gavin Wallace a short time ago, and if we're going back to him, I imagine there's been a goal in the Dundee derby.
There has indeed, Mark, and it's way for Dundee. It was another counter-attack. Josh Mulligan got the shot away, Walton saved, and Lyle Cameron was there with a follow-up to tap home. Dundee United 0, Dundee 1.
That one a 3 o'clock kick-off, a 4:30 start at Wembley for Liverpool-Newcastle. Full commentary on the way on 5 Live here at the Emirates. Inside the last 6 minutes, Arsenal 1-0 up, and similar time at Craven Cottage, where Fulham have taken a late lead against Spurs. Badiashile to Caicedo, whose pass nearly presented Marino with a chance to run through from inside his own half. When Aries got it for the Gunners, and Odegaard tried to go for the fancy back heel, which the Arsenal fans don't like because he's given the ball away. And here is Enzo Fernandez feeding Tyreek George. His cross towards the penalty spot. Cucurella got up really well, but couldn't get any meat on the header, and it was easy for Raya to make the save.
Well, it just goes to show you that if you switch off for a second and poor sloppy little flick in maybe the wrong area from Odegaard there, and then Chelsea are on the attack. The ball was a bit loopy into the box, so even with Cucurella winning the header, it would have been difficult for him to get much power on it, but just takes one opportunity. That's all that Chelsea be needing, that one opportunity.
Terrific start at Tannadice. If we're going back to Gavin again.
There is. Unfortunately, though, Mark, the goal's been chopped off. That goal from Lyle Cameron on 11. VAR has checked, and in the build-up, offside. Dundee United 0, Dundee 0.
So it's as you were at Tannadice, and 5 minutes remaining of the 90 at the Emirates as Nwaneri goes after a ball down the right channel. He can't get to it, and that gives Chelsea the chance to make some changes. And Chris Cavanagh's coming across here with his yellow card, and a member of the Chelsea coaching staff has gone into the book. It wasn't directed towards Enzo Maresca, but it certainly was to those that are sat behind him. More changes for the Blues here as Badiashile and Fofana go off, and Tosin and Gusto come on. I wouldn't have thought that defenders at this stage of the game are what you need when you're 1-0 down.
No, I was just thinking exactly the same thing. You know, you put a right back on and a centre back on, and taking forward players off. I don't quite understand that one, to be honest with you.
And Chelsea have made their full complement of changes now. Can they change the scoreline, which remains 1-0 to the Arsenal, as Gusto, who has just come on, motors forwards unopposed into the Arsenal half, wide to Tyreek George. This is all on the right side for Chelsea, and George cutting infield again, forced backwards. It's been a recurrent theme. Chelsea have made progress, then gone back, and not really shown any real nous when finding a way through as Mikel Arteta turns round and I think he's trying to get some more out of the fans. Or was he motioning to a member of his coaching staff? He was very animated as he turned and faced his fans. Cucurella has it. Useful area this for Chelsea. Left wing. Thought about getting the cross in. We'll be at Craven Cottage again in a minute as Chelsea are on the attack here. It's gone backwards to Tossino. So let's go to Mike Williams at the Cottage.
Game, set and match to Fulham. It's another substitute who has the goal for Fulham. Ryan Sessegnon with an absolute perler. Noticeably did not celebrate against his former side, did Sessegnon, but he has secured all 3 points surely for Marco Silva's side. Fulham 2, Tottenham 0.
So Fulham heading for a win. Arsenal likewise here. 1-0 up against Chelsea with 3 minutes left to play. Lavia, though, trying to find a way through for Chelsea has fed Pedro Neto on the right flank. Neto's laid it off for Tyreek George. He's got to the byline. Lewis Skelly has closed off the angle for the cross, so it's back to Neto again. He thinks about going in with the ball, and it's a useful one towards Caicedo. He couldn't make it stick, so it goes out of play for a throw.
Yeah, probably for the first time in the game, Arsenal dropping back into their own box. You know, the Chelsea are keeping the ball and Arsenal are dropping deeper and deeper as this game moves on. A little bit of a natural reaction, but I think that's probably what Arteta is getting a bit animated about. He wants his team to get up the pitch a little bit more. He wants maybe a little bit more pressure on the ball. They look like they're just ready to kind of see this game out. That can be dangerous sometimes, you know, as we mentioned earlier. Chelsea just need that one opportunity. It can be deflection, it can be something to drop to somebody out of nothing, you know.
Cucurella with a crossing opportunity on the left wing, opts against going for the cross and goes backwards to Colwell. He goes down as well, wants a free kick which he's not going to get. Closing stages here, it's early doors in the Challenge Cup at Leigh Sports Village between Lee Leopards and Batley Bulldogs. Ian Chisnell.
The anticipated procession has started. 4-0 when you were last here. The wingers have got to try a piece. Keenan Brand on 13 brushing off powder puff tackles, and Darnell McIntosh going down this near side as touchdown as well. 14-0, conversion to come. Lee lead Batley.
Thanks very much, Ian. So much sport for you on 5 Live. We've got the League Cup final between Newcastle and Liverpool, Premier League action between Leicester and Manchester United, and on Sports Extra we've got the Players' Championship final round from Sawgrass, and that's followed by the Indian Wells finals. Jack Draper into the men's final after that impressive win over Carlos Alcaraz. Full commentary of both finals actually on the BBC Sport website and app here on 5 Live. Next we're going to go to the Premiership Women's Rugby final, and Adam Whitty.
A penalty try to Saracens has seen them take the lead. Gloucester Hartbury bringing down a rampaging Maul illegally. They're down to 14. Saracens lead 14-5 in the final.
Arsenal lead 1-0 here with 30 seconds of normal time left to play. Cucurella's in a hurry to take the throw. Won't be able to though, because Arsenal are going to make a change. And off comes Martin Ødegaard. Still not quite been happening for the Arsenal captain. His form this season has dipped. Just 2 goals and 3 assists in 20 Premier League appearances coming into this. He was a much more productive player last season. He is withdrawn, and it will be Tierney to come on.
I still think Ødegaard is a massive part of how Arsenal play. You see how he links the play, the positions that he takes up. He's very, very difficult to mark. Admittedly, Arsenal and the fans and the manager and himself would probably like more goals and assists, but he's still a huge cog in this team. I think this game was probably panned out as I thought it would. You know, with not many clear-cut chances. I'd imagine that the expected goals is pretty low from both teams.
Shrewsbury Hall for Chelsea, looking for a late chance as we go into 4 additional minutes. They're chasing an equaliser here. Cucurella's ball in is deep. Someone went down inside the Arsenal box, but there were no appeals for anything from those in blue. Have we had a legal goal at Tannadice now, Gavin Wallace?
Mark, we have indeed, and it goes to Dundee. The ball comes in over from that far left-hand side. McGee is here waiting for it, and he kind of turns his head and his body, gets a great bit of power, puts it in the back of the net. Dundee United 0, Dundee 1.
So advantage to the away side in the Dundee derby as Chelsea desperately scrap to try and find an equaliser here, as some of the home fans attempt to beat the traffic and make their way out past our commentary position here low down at the Emirates Stadium. Toss in for Chelsea. Oh, that's a wretched pass from him. He's given it straight to Leandro Trossard. Minute of the 4 that was signalled has already elapsed without Chelsea doing a great deal to trouble Arsenal. How troubling will this, not perhaps result, but performance be for Enzo Maresca?
I'm not too sure. I think Arsenal, it's been pretty clear here, not just on this performance, but obviously the season so far, that Arsenal at this moment in time are a superior team to Chelsea. So, you know, Maresca will be disappointed they haven't been able to create many chances. They're missing some of the key players. So, you know, it's how disappointed he kind of gets about it. I do think Chelsea will be a force to be reckoned with next season. I think they will get better if they add a couple of players in key areas that we spoke about earlier on. Then they could go a little bit closer next season. But at this moment in time, I think this game has panned out probably in line with where these teams are at. Arsenal are the better side.
Colwell has slapped that long into the Arsenal half, and Tierney's anticipated well to get there ahead of Cucurella, who's almost playing as a left winger now. Marc Cucurella, he's lost out to Timber on the halfway line. Ranieri turning into Enzo Fernandez. It's off the Argentinian last and out for an Arsenal throw. And Arsenal running down the clock expertly here. Enzo Maresca almost acting as ball boy to try and get play back underway. 90 seconds of stoppage time left. Arsenal taking their time as Timber sizes up his options from the throw. Down the line to Tierney, who miscontrols, and it's gone out for a Chelsea throw. Cucurella in a hurry to try and hurl it upfield, but no option for him, and that's further recurrent theme for Chelsea. When they've been in possession, there's been a paucity of options for a forward pass, as there's a bit of back chat between Timber and Enzo Maresca just down in front of us after Timber went to ground, and then there's a shake of the hands and a smile from the Chelsea boss.
Yeah, and Royce and Enzo Fernandez are having a little bit in the middle of the park as well. That's been going on from that last tackle on Ranieri there about 90 seconds ago.
1-0 to the Arsenal is the chant you can hear, and that is set to be the full-time scoreline. 40 seconds of stoppage time remaining as Dewsbury Hall is crunched and fouled deep in Chelsea territory. So one last opportunity for Sanchez to heave this into the Arsenal half and try and get Chelsea a chance for a late leveller. Sanchez now does spin it forwards, high in the air, tossings up there. He won the header. Dewsbury Hall's helped it on. This is just outside the area. Dewsbury Hall with the cross in, which is guided home safely by Gabriel, and David Raya will probably collapse on this and run it down into the final few seconds.
It was brilliant from Gabriel, so calm, so composed, and lovely bit of technique just to cushion it back to his keeper, relieve all the pressure that might have been around the ground, which, let's be honest, wasn't too much because Chelsea haven't posed too many threats.
1-0 to the Arsenal is the full-time score. A much-needed win for them, their first victory in 4 league games. Blue is the colour, meanwhile, of the Chelsea mood, especially away from home. That is now a 4th consecutive league defeat on their travels. And Enzo Maresca cuts an unhappy figure as he goes to console his players. Arsenal, good value for the win here then by a goal to nil, Andy.
Yeah, I think deservedly so. You know, I think they were the more assertive team. They created more chances. Now, they didn't create loads of clear-cut chances, and a lot of them came from Chelsea mistakes. The goal come from a set piece, which is probably not surprising considering the record that they've got this season from set pieces. But I think they deserved it overall. Chelsea never really got going. They couldn't assert any kind of dominance. They couldn't, you know, although they had a bit of possession, keeping it along the back line and maybe bouncing it into midfield and back out, they couldn't get hold of the ball further up the pitch. They couldn't really hurt Arsenal, and I can't really remember too many clear-cut chances that they had. So a tight enough game in terms of competitiveness, and there was a little bit of an edge to the game. There was a bit of an underlying current. As you mentioned, really competitive, and I think the scoreline has probably gone to Arsenal deservedly.
And Arsenal close the gap, if we can say that, to just the 12 points on leaders Liverpool, but more importantly they strengthen their grip on second place and also Champions League qualification for next season. Full time at the Emirates, Arsenal 1, Chelsea 0.
Mark, Andy, thank you both very much indeed. So we'll bring you your reaction to Arsenal's victory over Chelsea at half-time here at Wembley Stadium. 4:30 kick-off coming your way in full. The League Cup final, Liverpool versus Newcastle. By the time we get to half-time, we'll also be bringing you reaction to Fulham's win over Tottenham Hotspur. Mike Williams.
Fulham 2, Tottenham 0. The home side put their recent woes here at Craven Cottage behind them with an impressive win over Spurs. 2 second-half substitutes won the match for them. The first, Rodrigo Núñez, fed by Pereira in the box, side-footed the ball past Bukayo after some hesitancy in the Spurs back line. And then late on, Ryan Sessegnon, who, remember, left Fulham a few years ago for an unsuccessful spell at Tottenham, took advantage of Ben Davies failing to clear the ball and let fly with a cracking curling shot from the edge of the box. He didn't celebrate scoring against his old team, but his teammates certainly did. This result puts Fulham right back in the European mix. As for Spurs, well, they were half. Ange Postecoglou's substitutes of Son and Bergvall and Maddison did breathe new life into them, but it is another defeat on the road for the Europa League quarter-finalists. It's finished full-time here at Craven Cottage. Fulham 2, Tottenham 0.
First Wembley roar of the afternoon is for the Newcastle United goalkeepers who have just come out to warm up in front of us. It's been Derby Day up and down the land this afternoon. The Steel City Derby finished. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Sheffield United 1. The Old Firm, Celtic 2, Rangers 3. An absolute classic. And the Tayside Derby has just seen its first goal. Gavin Wallace.
We're on to our second goal now, Steve, actually. Jack Walton spilled it from Scott Tiffany about 20 yards out or so. I don't know what he's doing. He should have just took it in with his chest. And it was that powerful. It just comes out of his hands and straight into the net. Dundee United 0, Dundee 2.
Let's check in on the Players' Championship with golf correspondent Ian Carter.
It's vintage McIlroy at the moment. He can't find a fairway, but he is still scoring well. A birdie eagle start, playing par golf thereafter on the 6th at 11 under par. Rory McIlroy just one shot off the lead, which continues to be held by JJ Spawn after 4 successive pars to start his final round.
Back into the WSL, Tottenham, Brighton, Emily Herbert.
Tottenham 0, Brighton 0. It's Spurs on top, pressing high with Brighton playing out from the back. 3 early chances for the hosts, with Thomas putting one wide inside the box. With 25 minutes in, it's Tottenham 0, Brighton 0.
The Premier Rugby Women's Final this afternoon. Adam Whitty.
It's been thrilling so far. Saracens 19, Gloucester Hartbury 10. Saracens raced into a 19-5 lead. Lotta Sharp, the most recent scorer, but the defending champions down to 14 for the moment with Mo Hunt in the bin. The England 9 have just hit back through Emma Singh. So it is Saracens who lead 19-10 in the PWR final. 25 minutes gone.
Challenge Cup rugby on this afternoon, of course, as well, with Lee against Batley. Ian Chisnell.
Lachlan Lammers just running the 4th Lee Leopards try on 25 minutes. Bailey Hodgson doing the work on this near side touchline. Conversion attempt is skewed wide by Ben McNamara, but 4 tries in 25 minutes is hard work for Batley. Lee 18, Batley 0.
Right, all eyes, all focus on Wembley Stadium and the League Cup final here on 5 Live after the news with Carl Hartley.
The voice of the UK. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Steve. The Health Secretary says that there is an overdiagnosis of mental health conditions, with too many people being written off. Wes Streeting says the welfare system has to be sustainable, is bowed by scrapping plans to freeze some disability benefits.